Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Backstage with Al and J. Are you ready?
You what?
And now, your host, Al Silva.
Who? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Getting Ready Backstage with Al and J. I'm your host, Al. Little bit of a different predicament here. Just getting this out of the way in the pregame, the pre-pregame. I'm not even pregaming it yet. I haven't started that, but my apartment, like half of the power is out. It's weird. It's not like my whole apartment. It's like all the plugs and the lights on that side, which happened to be the side with the desk with the cool setup and everything. So I was like, you know what? I'll still go live, but I'll just get my laptop over here with a microphone. What else do I need? What else do I need? A laptop and a microphone. We're on YouTube. We're just doing the thing. But we got a lot to talk about tonight. Jason will be on. He's just taking his sweet ass time. He's like, I'm ready. You know how it is. You know, give me 2 seconds. It's been a few minutes. Now, that's okay, because I figured he'll just join in when he gets a second anyway. And I always have enough rambling to go on. And like I said, every time I don't want to do this until 2 in the morning. And I got plenty to talk about. So let's just go ahead, get started with the pregame while we wait for Jason. And we'll go from there. It's time for the pregame.
No! What are you waiting for? Do it!
I cannot wait till you people hear that song, bro. You're like, oh man, fail. Not yet. You guys aren't ready. It's not as cool with the green screen. It looks weird. It looks like I'm in a room on a room. That's just how it be. So anyway, beyond the apartment having half power crap and I'm like in the dark, but luckily I have all those, you know, Cheyenne calls them the pencil lights, but they're LED rechargeable lights, right? And so I could just take them with me. I can carry them around like these are torches of the future, and they have little mounts on them for like tripods and stuff like that. So I have like just standing tripods, and I could just take one in the bathroom. So like when I'm getting in the shower in the morning, I put on like the glowy rainbow lights, like I'm having a little rave in the morning, getting ready for work and stuff, which is pretty cool. But beyond that, I've actually been just grinding getting this room ready, getting this studio ready, and I cannot wait till I show you guys the studio. I can't show it to you right now because first of all, it's not finished, but second of all, on my FaceTime on my camera, I don't even have my camera set up. This is just built into the Mac. So anyway, let me tell you guys a little story here. So remember a few weeks ago, I said, man, you guys won't believe it, but I haven't filed my taxes in like 5 years or something crazy. It was like since 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. I did file 2022, but not 2023, and then I filed this year. 5 years. So anyway, the federal government, they're dead serious. And I think it's a little messed up. They're like, yeah, we owe you money from a few years ago, but it's past 3 years, so we ain't paying you. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Federal government, Uncle Sam, keep it. I don't owe you shit. Don't come after me about nothing. Don't come after, oh, well, you owe us some money from 2019. No, I don't. You don't owe me. I don't owe you. We'll just call it even. When I filed my taxes, they were like, hey, did you get that first stimulus check? I was like, no. They're like, oh, we'll give it to you now. Did you get your second stimulus check? I was like, no. They're like, oh, we'll give that to you. Plus, you were owed a refund from this year and that year. I was like, oh, heck yeah, a few $1,000. But then they were like, oh, actually, it's past 3 years, so you don't get none of it. Okay, then we're going to call it even. I ain't paying the government shit. And then, if they ain't paying me, I'm not paying them. But you know who did me right? The state of Michigan. State of Michigan did me right. They owed me a couple years, just a couple $100 here. And so when I got that money in, I was like, man, you know, I'm so sick of every time we do this show, there's always some issue, right? There's always, oh man, this one piece of equipment failed, or when the bands come over and it's like, oh, can't have the stereo monitoring, or there's cords everywhere, or this or that. There's always an issue. I said, man, and I was saying this before I got the funds to do it. I said, man, I wish I could just get every cable, every cord, every plug, can I just get everything and have it all completely just set up, ready to go, so that way when I walk in the door, I just hit record or I hit go live, and then it's like that every time. Man, I just wish I can get to that point where it's just not a hassle. There's no setup. I have extra cable so I don't have to take anything down when I go to record at my show. Nothing. I wish I had that ability. And then I got the money from the state of Michigan. I said, you know what? This is the time. This is the time. And I truly, and because this will add up to the next thing, it's like, yeah, there's all these quotes, and I got to bring it here because that's just how it be, okay? First of all glory to God, to the Father through his Son, Jesus Christ, because I'm telling you, he takes care of me like a small baby. You know how, like, when you're a parent, you got this little baby, and this baby, he don't know how to ask for nothing. He don't know how to do nothing. He just goes, wah, wah, and then you as a parent, you go, he wants food. He wants to be burped, or he's full of poop. I got to change his booty, right? And as a parent, you just know what this baby needs, but the baby's just sitting there going, I'm not having a good time. You know what I mean? I truly feel like that's how God takes care of me. He's like, man, this is a baby. This is a little baby. I got to take care of him every day. And I'm telling you, I could name a million different things that he's done for me over the last 5 years since I came to him. And the craziest thing, the absolute nuttiest thing was, then I was like, man, what is everything? So I made a list of everything, right? And one of the main things I need is a new computer. And I've been talking about this on the show for I don't know how long, since they announced that Mac Mini. I said, man, I got to get that Mac Mini. I gotta. If I had that Mac Mini, it's game over. And this isn't crazy stuff. This isn't like, some people are like, man, I wish I had a $4,000 gaming computer. The Mac Mini's $600, bro. I'm like, man, I wish I had this Mac Mini. And so then I don't know how I came across it, but it was in the part of like getting all the cords, getting all the cables, and that Mac Mini was on Amazon, and Amazon was like, and I've tried this before a couple years ago, and it didn't work. They're like, no, bro, come on, get out of here with your bad credit, and but it popped up again. It was like, hey, you could pay for this Mac Mini in payments, and I said, oh, really, in payments? In payments? And they were like, well, you got to get approved. And I said, well, shoot my shot. Might as well shoot my shot. So I shot my shot, and it freaking went through. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm going to get the freaking Mac Mini. I'm going to get the Mac Mini, people. You don't understand how excited I am. This is the last piece of the puzzle, because I can't wait to show you guys, because I ran cables, like every cable that could be, and I was thinking worst case scenario, or best case scenario, if you think about it, like if I have a band over here that has 4 to 5 members, plus myself and a co-host, so like 6, 7 people. If I had 6 or 7 people in my living room, where would I need the cables? Headphone cable going to here, microphone cable going to here, guitar cables, bass cable, everything. And I've set everything up. And you can see King Solomon, he's hanging behind me. I got extra guitar hangers to put on the wall, so now the guitars can go on the wall to save up floor space. And then I made my TVs look cool, because I got these little tiny stands next to it to like put out my my graded Pokemon collection, because I'm a super nerd. But anyway, I got like everything loaded up. The final piece was that computer, and it was like, here it is. I was like, no way, bro. I just can't wait. So that's not going to come for like two weeks or something like that. So I'll have to deal with the next 2 weeks here until I get it. But I am so freaking excited, because that's like, once I get that installed, bro, we're going. And I already felt ramped up. I already felt like the last few weeks I was going with recording videos. I already told you when I went to that baby boomer dilemma and those kids. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear that. That's jammy. Let me see. Oh, they can't hear the Skype tone is jammy. Let me answer this, because this is Jason. Get Jason on the line here. I wish they could hear the Skype tone, Jason, because it is an absolute banger. Jason, can you hear me? You got the mic check 1, 2? Mic check 3, 4. I'm going to read the comments while you're going in there. Cheyenne, welcome. She loves Fail to Thrive. Thank you. Yes, the marker lights, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They're the torches of the future. My dad's in the chat. Oh, no. Very bad day. No. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, sometimes it feels like there's a layer on a layer on a layer on a layer, and then when you get to a certain point, I remember back in the day, it was like, there would be tons of times where but see, like, when I look back at it now, I go, well, okay, well, that was my fault, and that was my fault, and that was like, I remember this one time in particular, I locked my keys in the car at the end of this double shift and, worked all day, 16 hours. I came home and the car was still on. I don't know why. I used to lock my keys in the car all the time. But this one time in particular, I left the car on. I got out. The keys were still in the car. And it was like after the whole day was just shit. And I was just like, I remember thinking, because there was this Metallica song called, I think it's either Dirty Window or My World. And it was like, the lyric James has in there, he's like, God, it feels like it always rains on me. But he sings it like, God, it feels like it always rains on me. And I just remember thinking, oh, it always rains on me. And I'm thinking, in the moment, because it was just like, man, band after band after band. And I look back at it, I was like, well, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have locked my freaking keys. And God's like, I didn't do that. I didn't make you get out of your car while your car was still on. Keys were in there. Why are you blaming me for that? I'm like, okay, well, that's reasonable. That makes sense here. Jason, I don't hear you. If you're talking, if you're doing things, I don't hear that in particular. Let me see if maybe I might have muted you over here or got rid of your Skype here, because I do things sometimes here. Skype. Oh, you know what? That's probably why I don't hear you. Oh, no, wait. There we go. No, I got your Skype here. Yeah, keep working on that, Jason. As soon as I hear you, I'll put them on the video here. Cheyenne, feels like everyone's been tested lately. Everyone's having a rough time. And this is the crazy thing. Like, for me, when I feel like it's like I got it, it's like a snowball, right? It's like one bad thing and another, and I get to the point where I go, oh man, I'm just like super upset. All these things in like a short time span, right? Like a couple hours or whatever, and then to me, that's the relief I feel when it's like, oh man, it's almost too obvious that it's the enemy. It's almost too obvious. It's like Satan sitting over there, and he's like, oh man, I'm gonna ruin this guy's day. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. And then when it gets to a certain overwhelming point, I'm like, it hits me, and I go, oh man, he's trying to get to me. Not today. But because that's, obviously, like, if I was trying to ruin your life, if I was trying to like make you like miserable, when you're miserable, you'd be like, as me trying to ruin your life and make you miserable, I'd be like, oh, got him. Oh, look at how mad he is. Like, how upset he is. So then when I realize, I'm like, this would only make the enemy happy. So then I go, all right, never mind. It's all right. Yeah, literally, not today, Satan. That's literally how I feel, because I'm like, it's almost too much. Like, sometimes he makes it too obvious. Now, every now and then, it's just like a little thing here or there. And you're just like, and you don't think it's him, because it's like, oh, bad thing happened. Oh, terrible. Oh, annoying. Oh, this. And you're like, oh. And it's just like little things. But when it's like so built up, like you're just like bad thing after bad thing after bad thing, and you're like, no. And that's when I'm like, oh, it's obvious now, bro. It's too obvious. You can't make it so obvious, because then I have to. Then I have to go, all right, well, let's see here. And, like when my lights went out, when the whole power went out on this side of the thing, I'm like, I was getting frustrated over, getting these things set up and everything like not working correctly and all this stuff. And then the lights go out, and I was just like, oh, bro, too obvious. Like, oh, well, what happens if I shut off half his apartment? I'm like, come on, bro. That's too much for you. So you can't let everything completely overwhelm you, because that's how we win. That's what do they say? You can't let the terrorists win. We still got to fly planes. Don't let the terrorists win here. So don't let him win there. Let me just check in on Jason again. I didn't mute him. He's not muted. Let me see here. He's visibly in here. Jason, if you're hearing this, I don't hear you. I'm assuming no one else hears you, possibly. I mean, maybe they do hear you. I don't think so, though. Let me see here. It's because I don't have Circle J on there. What about now? Jason? I didn't have his little circle there, but now his circle's there. I realize now I have to put his circle back in all the scenes, so I'll just do that while he's doing. Can't hear Jason at all. See, I knew it. I knew it wasn't me. People, I cannot wait. I just cannot wait. So this is the thing. Let me keep going into the pregame. So remember how I said last week I went to Raising Cane's and I almost died, and I had to leave the line. So I was like, bro, I got to finish it later. So then I picked up my kids on Friday and I told them, I was like, hey, do you guys want to go to Cane's? I got to finish this video. And they were like, yeah, let's go to Cane's. Let's do it. I was like, all right, sweet. So Friday I picked them up. We went over to the Cane's. And the line was almost just as long as it was on opening day Tuesday. So I was like, all right, why don't we wait in the car? Why don't we do the drive-thru? We'll wait in the car. We'll get the food, and then we'll pull over, get out, and then do the video. So we wait in the line. I only had to wait in the line for like 10 minutes before I was like, oh, this isn't going to happen, bro. Like, this is not going to be good today. So I was like, guys, what do you think about coming back to Cane's tomorrow? Mike isn't picking up for some reason. That's okay. Hussein, what's up, dude? When are you dropping the video for Raising Cane's? I was just about to talk about that. I'm going to be dropping it you got to give me a few days because I'm backed up because I just finished the video with the kids from the Baby Boomer Dilemma. So the kids that came up to me, the middle schoolers, I just got done editing that, so I'm about to post that hopefully tomorrow. And then that means tomorrow I can start working on the Raising Cane's and then give me a couple days to get the Cane's out. So I'm thinking by Friday. By Friday I should have that posted. Because I had to finish it. Hussein, you didn't understand. Like, that day I had to leave the line. I don't know if you saw me leaving the line, but I couldn't handle it. I was going to pass out, bro. I was like, dude, I got to go. So then I came back on Saturday with my kids, and we came back about 3 o'clock, and it was almost as busy, but not nearly as busy in the waiting line. So I only had to wait in the line for about 30 minutes before we got in the building, and then I finally had the Cane's. You were the boys doing the push-ups and the singing. I cannot wait to get to that portion of the video. That was really funny. These guys were just going ham trying to stay warm. Were you the one that gave your friend the jacket, or are you the one that got the jacket? Because there was this group of 3 dudes that I came up to, and asking them the stuff, and so we had our conversation, and then when I get back to my portion of the line, I just see these guys trying, because it was really cold. It was like really, really cold. Oh, you gave him the jacket? Yeah. And this guy takes off his jacket, gives it to his buddy. I was like, no way, because his buddy's cold. I was like, dude, you're gonna freeze. You're gonna freeze. What's wrong with you? And then they started doing push-ups and jumper jacks and all this crazy stuff. And then we get to the front of the line, and then I heard them doing karaoke. They were singing Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, so I busted out my phone really quick. Tried to get a couple clips of that. So, yeah, no, you guys will be on there for sure. Some good content there. So we finished the Cane's video, or finished recording it at least. I got the experience of the Cane's in Michigan. It was fantastic. They did a great job. I had at least 2, if not 3, Cane's workers come up to us, because they were coming up to everybody and saying like, hey, how was the food? Was it good? Nice hot chicken? I'm like, yeah, chicken was hot. It was great. Thank you so much. Like, this was great. I should have interviewed them, but it was crazy busy, so I didn't want to hold them up too long. Plus, I already had enough footage I knew to edit anyway. Jason's back here. Boop, boop, boop. So we finished the Cane's video, and we're good. I can hear Jason now. I knew it as soon as I heard the background. There we go. Jason, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Dude, that was like a headache and a half.
Oh, wow.
So originally, I tried connecting my phone. I have this HDMI adapter. And for some reason, it was just like really interfering with my headphones. Probably because it was trying to route the audio to the TV or whatever. But yeah, it just could not figure that out. So I disconnected it, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's still goofing up here.
Yeah.
So then I was finally just like, well, maybe it's like a permissions thing. It's doing all kinds of weird stuff because of the apps.
Yeah.
So I just closed everything out and then had to end the call and start everything over again. And yeah, it must have been a permissions thing.
That's right. I'm doing impromptu. You see me on the corner of my living room here. It actually looks not too bad. I like the light behind me, really glowy. My dad said, can't wait to do a weekend visit. We'll have to do a live show for that. Not only, like, I really want to take, it's like I want to take my dad to a place. I don't know where we should go, but, like, I don't know, like, we're going to, I don't know, Dooley's or something. You know, I feel like we should go somewhere and experience that and get you on a video for that too, Dad. That'd be pretty sweet. I'd have to think someplace really cool, because I already told Mario I got to take Mario to the Lafayette Coney Island. And I haven't been to Dooley's in a while. Dooley's would be pretty sweet. I'm trying to think of some other cool places we could. A lot of things. It's like eat, and I obviously, like, we're both like. My dad's also kind of dieting and everything, but I don't know. It's like that's the most interesting thing to me. Is like every time I pass by a place, I go, "Man, it'd be cool." No, I see his chat. No. No, this is a family-friendly show for as much as I can try for it to be. Cedar Point would be fantastic, except for because my dad hasn't been there since the 80s. And but I'm scared to death if I take him to Cedar Point. Like, what happens if he's on the ride and then he's like, oh, you know, that's it. You know, he's had 2 heart attacks. You know what I mean? Like, I'd really hate to be the one that takes him on a ride that gives him the 3rd one, you know? So I don't know, but I have considered that lots of times. I'm like, oh, it'd be pretty cool to take him to Cedar Point, but I don't know if I want him to get on any rides. But what's the point of going to Cedar Point if you're not going to get on any rides? So I'm not sure, but Cedar Point is a cool place to be. Would be pretty fantastic.
I haven't been there in a really long time.
Oh, he said Dooley's would be great. Yeah, it would be great. So I'll make sure I do not go to Dooley's until at some point we'll synchronize the dates and we'll head to Detroit. We'll go to the D. We'll do it. You know, we should do a little video where it's like, it sounds a little creepy though, but it's like, a look into the past, and then we drive by the old house and we're like, look at it now. Look at the house, but there's somebody living in there now, so it's like kind of creepy. Even though, you know how sick it would be, like, obviously I'm a nobody, but I can't wait till I'm a somebody, because then it's like, oh, please come in, sir, you know what I mean? But while I'm a nobody, it's a little awkward. But it'd be funny to, like, go up to the old house, like, knock with the camera though, you know what I mean? Like, knock on it, like, hey, my name's Al Silva, and I have a YouTube channel. Anyway, I was just wondering if I could come inside and see this house. I grew up in this house, and it'd just be kind of cool to see it, like, 20 years later and stuff like that. That'd be kind of sick.
And then your dad is in the background. He's got his shotgun. Shoot into the sky for all time.
Boom. He's like, hey, God, I got to do one thing in the backyard. Yeah. Gotta let a few of these off.
That'd be sick.
A tour of the old neighborhood. Yeah, that'd be cool. Like a look into the past. And then, because honestly, 20 years ago from when I was there, it's totally different. Like, I don't know when the last time you've been to that area, Dad, but the last time I went just to go to Columbo's a couple weeks ago, we're driving down Verner, and I'm like, oh man, they got new buildings. You can tell they're gentrifying. Like, they're like really nice buildings, like kind of coming down Verner and stuff. I'm like, oh no, I saw a white lady like walking a kid, and I was like, oh, it's over here. It's over here now too, because it first started by, the stadium. That's like Woodward and 75 there, because they built the Little Caesars Arena and stuff. And then it started going to like old Tiger Stadium. Now they got like it's like a junior league baseball field or whatever, but that's completely gentrified. Like, it's completely, like, it is a whole different area. It was really ghetto, I remember, like 25 years ago, and now it's like super nice, high-end stuff. I'm like, oh boy. And now it's creeping into Southwest Detroit too. But I guess from what I just heard, because I actually talked to my mom earlier on the phone today as well, and she's telling me, like, it's like a ghost town in Southwest Detroit, like grocery stores, like the markets, all sorts of stuff. They're like nobody wants to go out, because they're rounding up. They're like, man, if I see somebody speak Spanish, I'm getting them. They're like,
Wow.
and I'm like, it's that intense? She's like, yeah, it's like that intense. Ice is everywhere. But what's funny is, I feel like for anybody that knew Southwest Detroit, it's like, yeah, that's where everybody knew illegal immigrants were. We all knew they were there. But, nobody was kind of doing nothing. And then as soon as Donald Trump's like, all right, take them away, they're like, well, we know where they are. They're in Southwest Detroit. Like, we knew they were there, bro. So they're snatching people up left and right and just sending them right on back, which is pretty crazy. But I mean, that's kind of what they said. That's what they said they were gonna do. So he's just like, well, I'm just kind of doing what I said I'd do, which is pretty nuts here. But let's go ahead and get. Oh, hang on, I think I had one more in the pregame. Oh, I just wanted to shout out Golden Gambit because I went and saw one of his show. If you remember when Golden Gambit was on my show, he said his next show was February 5th or February 4th or whatever it was, and I said I'm pretty sure I could go. I'm pretty sure I can make it because I was thinking it was so far in advance. I think I should do it, but he made it on a Wednesday. And then once I figured out it was on a Wednesday, I was like, oh, there's no way I'll make it. But then because the kids didn't have school, because they had, it was the day that everything, if you guys aren't in Michigan, like there's things called snow days. Well, there's also ice days. Like there's no snow, but there's ice everywhere. And so there was an ice day. And so the kids didn't have school Thursday morning, so I swapped Wednesday for Thursday. So then after my Bible class, I headed out to Hamtramck, and I went and I checked out Golden Gambit. I made a little video of that too. So that's another video I have to edit. Like, I'm going to see Golden Gambit. And it was a kind of crazy. I got there like 30 minutes before he went on, and then I only stayed for him and then a little bit after him. But when I showed up, it was the pre-game for him, or the two openers before him. It was a burlesque show. And I thought I saw something about that in the flyer, but it's like it passed over my head. So when I'm in the venue, right, and I'm busting out my camera and I'm, getting some shots of the scene because it's at the New Dodge Lounge in Hamtramck, and it's actually a pretty cool place. And then I'm seeing this lady on the stage and she's dancing, right? And then she starts stripping. And I was like, oh, boy, what's going on here? But it's burlesque, right? So what that means is like, well, they still got stuff on. You know what I mean? It's not nudity, sort of, except for they have like coverings over their nipples. So like towards the end of both of the girls I saw, but I guess there was either 3 or 4, but I only caught the last 2. The very last thing they do in their whole dance, they have this whole dance routine. The very last thing they do is whatever their last layer of clothing is for the top, they take that off and it unveils their breasts, but with nipple coverings and tassels on the nipples. So that way when they dance, there's tassellings on their nipples. And I said, oh boy, it's that kind of party. So I got some footage of that. And I think my dad will like the one because the lady, I wish I would have hit record before she went on stage to get like the pre-intro or whatever. But it was, she went on stage as like burlesque Darth Vader. And so she had like the Darth Vader thing going on as she's like dancing and unveiling. And she had the Vader helmet on as she's doing this whole dance. And that was like one of the last things she took off before she took off her top blouse or whatever, was the Vader mask as she's doing her sexy dance. So that was pretty cool. And then I got to saw Golden Gambit, and he actually had a band this time. Every other time I've seen Golden Gambit, and plus when he was here in the studio, he just played to a backing track. Like when I performed with him, when he opened for my band, he just played to a backing track, and he's saying this is the first time he actually had a band. And I guess it was the second time they performed as a band, but I didn't see the first time. And it's a whole different experience, bro. It's a whole, like, it might be the same thing, like if they're playing perfectly to the same thing, but it's a whole different feeling live music. Versus essentially it's almost karaoke. You know what I mean? When you're just playing to a backing track and you're singing, you could be singing, you could be performing, you could be giving it your all, but when it's a backing track, I remember this band that's actually really good, and they kept adding pieces and pieces, and every time I saw them, they had a new piece. And but the first time I saw them, the band's name is Yayo, Yayo. And I remember hanging out in the parking lot before we went on, And he's like, "Hey man, we're playing tonight too." I said, "What's your band?" He's like, "Yayo." I was like, "Oh, it sounds pretty cool." He's like, "Yeah, we're like metal, like dance heavy stuff, bro. It's like crazy, bro." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sounds cool." And he played me a clip of it, like from his phone, like an actual song they had recorded. I said, "Oh, that sounds great. It was heavy breakdowns, and all that stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be sweet, dude." And I was looking forward to it. And then when they went on stage, it was just him to a backing track. And it was like, yeah, he was going hard and he was going ham, but it was just missing. Like it was just it didn't hit the same. And I was like, bro, I don't know. I was like, man, I could tell you're gonna be really good when you get that whole band together. Then the next time I saw him, he had like guitarists and a bassist, but he didn't have a drummer. And it was better, but it was still lacking. So I think now he was telling me they got a drummer. So now they got the drummer. So I can't wait to see him again because I'm like, oh, you guys would have been like legendary status. You had all the instruments, but it keeps getting better. So Golden, it was awesome because I already like his songs just listening to him, but seeing the band there, I was like, okay, sweet. That's fantastic. But the greatest part about Golden Gambit is he has like a cult following. It's crazy. He's like the mini Alice Cooper. You know what I mean? And so for anybody that's not from Detroit, it's like Alice Cooper is this cult icon legend from Detroit that's like, if you're from here, you know Alice Cooper. It's like, oh, especially if it was back in the day, and you're like, you really know Alice Cooper. But even newer generations like me, they know Alice Cooper. He's just that well known as like a local legend. But if you're from like San Francisco, California, you probably don't know Alice Cooper. But Golden Gambit is like the next generation, I think, because like he has such a following that's like die hard. Like die hard. Like they'll go to his shows. They like share, and like he already has a network of like over almost 20,000 followers. And when he played at this venue, he probably had like 40 people there for him, chanting along, singing his songs, dancing and stomping and everything. And I'm like, damn, Golden just like, there's something about him that people just love. And so I interviewed somebody after the show, and it's like, who are you here to see? And she was like, Golden Gambit. I was like, really? How long you known Golden Gambit? She's like, 2 years. He's such a great dude. He's a great human being. He does a lot for the community. He puts together all sorts of stuff. He helps everybody out. He's just such a great guy. Just absolute legend, blah, blah. I was like, man, this guy he just got it. There's something about Golden where it's like, people love that dude. I'm like, I am so glad to get his contact because he'll reach out to me and he'll give me like tips. He'll tell me stuff like, hey, I found that this works on Instagram, if you post like this, if you do this many, if you do this style, blah, blah. Or he'll just share stuff to me. I'm like, man, I call him Golden Sensei. He's my sensei. This boy, he's going to take me on the journey. I'm like, that's fantastic. So now I got to get to the point where I'm opening for Golden. We got to get my band opening for Golden, which would be pretty sick. The problem is with him and his Instagram theory, it works. Clearly, he has the results. But, man, I don't think I can do it. He posts, seriously, 10 to 15 times a day. A day. Every day. I'm like, I can't. I told him, I was like, all right, I started recording a bunch of clips of just me. Because that's what he does. It's super simple. He'll take his phone, and he'll just be like this. Or a lot of times, it looks like he has, like, his girlfriend or something, like, just recording him doing something or whatever. And then he puts text on the screen. He don't even say nothing. He'll get like 1,000 shares from something, but it's like a quote. And he has like a theme with his, and because he got the Sigma Wolves. So like with the whole Super Bowl thing, he was riding because there's with the Super Bowl, the Chiefs were in it, and the Chiefs have like Taylor Swift, Dayton Travis Kelce, so all these Swifties, or what the Taylor Swift fans are called, Swifties. They're all like posting about everything Swifty. So he's riding the Swifty train, but in the negative way. He's like, I don't remember all the quotes, but it's basically like F Swifties, Sigma Wolves rise. You know what I mean? But he posts like, seriously, I'm scrolling and I see him like, Swifties don't know, don't get this, blah, 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 Swifty. And I'm like, he probably recorded like 100 videos of like this theme of like calling out Swifties because he knows like Swifties are going to be like, oh, negative, or they'll comment like, you're a turd, or you know what I mean? And it's engagement. And so he knows how to get engagement, which is just crazy. Like he's about that life. And so I'm really glad to have him as a resource, because it's like there's very few people in my physical life, or even in my digital life, but definitely in my physical life, that want to do this. Like they're like, oh no, I want to have like an online presence. Like I tell the band all the time, Gary and Mario and Dylan, oh, you guys should start your own channels. Oh, you should make your own. You guys should be posting on Instagram. You guys should be like doing stuff. And they're just like, oh, okay. But they're not about that life. And so I'm like, man, I need more people about that life in my circle, so that way we can share. You know, Mr. Beast says all the time, like, how he got started was, it was him and 4 friends that were all like, hey, let's get into YouTube. Let's do this. Like, let's grind it out. And so they would constantly be sharing information, sharing ideas, and inspiring each other, and like just going back and forth. And that's how they were getting lifted up. And then as time went on, people would drop out. And then eventually it was just like Mr. Beast was the only one left, like still grinding it out. But like without that support circle of like each person like trying to make sure they were all successful, he would have never made it there. I'm like, bro. I mean, I got Jason here, I guess, technically digital pixel man, in the cyber universe, intangible universe. If only he had a physical presence or physical persona of some reason, but only time will tell. But yes, so let's go ahead and hit the next section. We're going to Insano World. It's Insano World. You know what was insano? So Philadelphia Eagles played the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles won. And I was conflicted about this Super Bowl, to be honest, because I don't like either team. Jason, I don't like either team. I really don't like the Chiefs for a couple reasons. One, the Swiftie thing, it was just annoying. Because it's like every game they would cut over to Taylor Swift's reaction for every single play. And it's like, bro, nobody cares. Well, obviously, the Swifties care, but like nobody else cares. I don't need to see what Taylor Swift's face is doing every single time. And but then Philadelphia, the reason why I'm like, bro, not Philly, it's not the team itself, because honestly, the more I learn about their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, I'm like, this is a good kid. This is a good dude. He's just he's a grinder. He's like, bro, I'm just put my head down, go to work. Everybody doubts him, and he's like, I just win. He's a winner. He's been winning since college. And I'm like, okay, this guy's cool. The team's cool. They have a lot of cool stories in the team, but the city of Philadelphia, I don't know how to put this nicely, but when they win, it's not when they lose. When they lose, yes, whatever. Everybody goes stupid. When the city of Philadelphia wins, they get caveman levels of stupidity. I mean, it's like they destroy their own city. They destroy their own city when they win. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. If you lost, you're like, we got to riot. We got to burn it all down. But they win, and that's their way of celebrating. So even though I'm only on my one computer, I wanted to show these clips if I can. I don't know if this is going to work out, but I do have some clips of the occasion here. Let me make sure you can see it. I'm sure you can, but this was Broad Street, Philadelphia. So the main street, you could just tell it's absolutely bonkers here. Full for like a solid mile or so, 2 miles maybe, up and down. This was that night when they won. And so everybody gets out, and they're going ham. I got this next one here, because the problem is they start tearing down everything, bro. Like, they tear down street signs and street lights. They're like, yay, look at it, we won. Stomp the light out. Let's do thousands of dollars worth of our own taxpayer damage. We're going to pay for that later. Stop. Yes, we won. They just get stupid, bro. And I knew this was going to happen. That's why I was like, I don't think I want Philadelphia to win, bro. Like, look at them. The street lights aren't safe. And these things are heavy. Yay. Destruction. Get him out of here.
And if you're not familiar with Philadelphia, this cuts through the entire center of town.
Yeah.
This is a tradition. Crowds just packing this street now. In the past,
It's just a tradition, Jason. And so the thing that the city has to do to try to combat people climbing the damn poles is they grease the poles. They grease the poles hoping people won't climb them, because then even if they do kind of climb them, they'll slide off. But then it ended up killing a kid. This was
Jesus Christ.
a kid that climbed up the pole and fell. Oh, there's no sound for some reason. They took it. Maybe it was too graphic. But this kid, it shows the kid freaking falling. I actually can't believe the sound's not working for that, because it was just working earlier. But this is it's crazy that they kind of show, but they cut it right before he actually falls here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So he climbed the pole, and then it was too slippery, so then he fell. And then he died. So Philadelphia, like, bro, okay, we get it, you won, but, like, I don't know, calm down, bro. It ain't that crazy. When the city of Detroit won, I remember in 2004 when the Pistons won, we didn't go out and riot. We didn't go out and start burning stuff down. We went out into the street, and we were cheering. And all the cars, they made like a parade of cars, and they were all honking. It was like we put on our own little parade. And we're like, yay, yay, yay. That was really cool. That was awesome. Good job to you guys. Like, that's what we did. We're Detroit. We didn't do none of that, dude. Like, Philadelphia, they win all the time. That's the crazy thing. That's the second Super Bowl they've won in like 5 years or something. Detroit, we have never won a Super Bowl. And I guarantee when we do, we still don't tear down the street signs. But it's like, my dad said, you weren't in life for the 84 Tigers. That was the craziest ever. I guess so. The 84 Tigers. But then I guess we mellowed out. Because we don't do what Philadelphia does. And they win a lot more than we do. Because they have a lot of good teams. Not saying our teams aren't good, but just for the vast majority of the time, our teams aren't good. We do have good moments. Like the Lions was doing pretty good, and then they just like dropped. But I don't even fault the Lions, because it was like every single defensive player got injured. They had, I believe it was 18 people on the injured reserve list, and I believe there's only 11 guys on a line. So they're like, It was all their starters and almost all their backups. They were on like third and fourth string guys for like the whole last half of the season. So it's like, bro, they did what they could. I don't fault them for that. But then they lost their two coaches, the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. So now it's like, I don't think they're going to go straight into next year. Like, all right, we're going to be we're going to be kicking in high gear again. I think it'll take them probably a couple more years, but they were doing good. I really thought this was the year until they kept getting injured, and because they started so strong. They started like they only lost like one game in the first 10 or something like that. So it was like, oh, this is it. Like my dad said, if the Lions win, he's like, that's the end of the world, because they've never won, and like we've had so many seasons where you don't even have a winning record, let alone get to the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's like you haven't even won more games than you lost. There was the one year, famously, the Lions went 0 for 16. They didn't win a single game. And you would think like, oh, there's probably lots of teams that do that. No, never. There was never anybody that lost every single game before. Isn't that nuts? You would think like, oh, there's probably tons of crappy teams throughout the years. They probably had some teams that always never won. No, they usually win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was never a team until the Lions went 0 for 16. I was like, dang, that would be something Detroit would do first. Lose every single game, which is just...
They did do that.
It's bonkers. But now we're winning. And what's funny is now we start winning, we start getting good, and now everybody hates on us. They're like, oh, Lions fans so cocky. Lions fans, they just, because they're winning, they get into the play. Like, bro, come on. We just started winning like 2 years ago. Can we enjoy anything? We can't enjoy nothing in Detroit. My dad said it was different in '04 because the Red Wings already won 2 championships. See, that's what I mean. Maybe it's like you start winning, you get used to it. You're like, oh, we don't got to riot. We're used to it. But Philadelphia is not like that. Like I said, they win all the time. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the highest. They have the second most Super Bowls out of all the teams. Like, they've won a lot. They got the what is it? The Pittsburgh Bruins for the ice, the hockey. They have one Stanley Cup. Like, they win a lot. You would think they're used to it, but no, that's like a tradition for them. Like, we have to destroy everything around us. So that just, I guess that's just what has to happen in Philadelphia. So I don't root for them, but I like the guys. I like the fellas in the team. So congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles for that. Now, another thing I wanted to make sure I highlighted this. Jason, I don't know if you heard about this, but Donald Trump officially, he renamed the Gulf of Mexico. It is now the Gulf of America. And when I say official,
it's official now?
When I say official, Jason, let me just slap this on you so that way you know how official and legit this is. This is Google Maps. Google Maps is officially updated to Gulf of America. I wish I had some sort of American theme for a soundbite there. And you know what's funny? Think about this. Why was it ever called the Gulf of Mexico? There's more coast of America than anything else. Like, if you had to measure this, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, there's all this, and then all that, all this, all of this. Mexico is just like this. It's probably half of the amount of coastline. We should have had dibs on that first anyway. I don't know why they ever called it the Gulf of Mexico. But now it don't matter. It's the Gulf of America. So that's it. USA, USA, USA. That's how it should be. Anyway, I don't know why they ever tried to even name it the Gulf of Mexico. So that'd be funny if the next president comes in and he goes, oh, for tradition, we should name it Gulf of Mexico. Why? Don't give it back to them. That's ours now. This is ours. I mean, I think it always was. I don't know why they ever had permission to give it to Mexico. But now it's ours. So, sorry, Mexico. We're taking that. And what's funny is I couldn't even bring up all the articles from all the crap that Donald Trump's doing. Like, it's like left and right. There's news articles. There's all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, he's signing these orders. He's doing this and that. I'm like, it's a whole whirlwind. To be honest, it's like the main one, I guess, is the tariffs. He's doing these tariffs. And he's like, hey, I need stuff from you, and if you don't do these things, I'm slapping a tariff on you. Basically like a tax, right? And at first, Mexico, Colombia, Canada, they were like, yeah, well, we're not going to comply. And then it wasn't even like a week later. They were all like, all right, fine, we will, but we don't like it. They're like, oh, well, okay, then we will. So now, like, Colombia, I think it was Colombia, they started sending their own planes over here to pick up their immigrants. They're like, all right, fine. We'll bring our own people back then. And then Canada was like, all right, we're going to pay the tariff, but it's going to increase prices and stuff. And it's like, okay. The whole point of the tariffs mainly was we need to incentivize people to build the stuff here, Jason. They need to, we started everything that we did. It was mostly built here with our workers doing it here. Then at some point we said, wow, you know what? We can do free trade with the whole world, find the places that produce it cheapest, and then just import it over. We don't need to build it here and pay Americans. We can pay a Chinese 3-year-old 5 cents a day, and he'll make all the Nike shoes we can ever dream of. And that's what they did. And so now the incentive to bring it back is met with harsh criticism, which doesn't make any sense to me, because it's like the argument is, well, if you do these tariffs, it's going to increase prices. It's like, okay, but the way that a company can offset the increase in prices is to produce it here and then get the discount making it here. It's like, yeah, but if they produce it here, it's going to cost more money. Okay, but if they produce it here, there's an American worker making money so that way we can put more money into the economy. More people making money is good. And isn't that something where it's like almost like a, what do they call it? Like a virtue of ethics. It's like, okay, you can either pay, you know, right now we pay $1,000 for a new iPhone made from a Indian small child, 10 cents a day, and it costs us $1,000. Maybe it costs $1,500, but we're paying an American unionized worker $25 an hour to build it. Would you not pay a couple $100 more? So that way some little kid doesn't have to be building your shit for like slave labor and you can give an American a job? Doesn't that sound like maybe we should just get used to doing that like that way? We got too used to it being cheap because it was the employers, like the companies, they were trying to be cheap. It was for them, not for us. It wasn't a benefit to us like, oh, it'll be cheaper for you. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but it was mostly to increase profits, not to make it cheaper for us. It's still expensive as shit. So if it's still going to be expensive, make it a little more expensive. We'll have to eat the costs, but there'll be more people here producing it with actual rights, you know, like with actual rules in place on how they can work and what they can do for how many hours before, you know, Jason, the Chinese factories that make the iPhones are famous for their suicide nets because the working conditions are so
Is
bad.
that real, though?
It's absolutely 100% real. Real. They had to put nets in because people kept killing themselves because they wouldn't give them breaks. They wouldn't even let them go. They were like working 20-hour shifts. They're like, bro, go. We need 1,000 iPhones an hour or whatever the require. It was so stressful for such nothing. But they knew they were so desperate. They're like, I got to feed my family. I got nothing. This is the only place in town that hires for $1 a day. Drove them nuts. And then they started jumping off. So then they're like, bro, we need these workers to work. So then they put nets. So when they jump off, they hit the net and then they roll down to the ground to the front door. Get back to work. That was a nice little slide you had. Nice little breather you had. I'm actually charging you for the break you just took. Now get back to work. They're like, oh, why can't I just die? You can't. That's just how it is. So I don't know. To me, it feels like maybe we should pay a little bit more to kind of stop using slaves. I don't know. I feel like everybody's pretty universal that slavery's bad. So maybe we should cut it out. I don't know, man. I don't think you get to pay somebody $1 a day and be like, no, they're not slaves. I don't know. If they can't kill themselves, I'm pretty sure they're slaves. It sounds pretty bad. I mean, at least we have the right to kill ourselves. I don't know if that's a right. I feel like you actually even get in trouble if you try to kill yourself. Do you not, Jason? Isn't that like some sort of, it's not attempted murder, but I feel like there is some sort of trouble.
No, I mean,
you can't just do it.
Yeah, trouble.
Right?
Not like legal trouble. I mean, you
like
get the
put in jail.
Bill.
Oh, you get in loony bin.
No, you get like suicide watched.
But they don't jail you.
Like
it's not illegal.
No, they put you in the hospital.
Oh, well, yeah, it makes sense. Because most people wouldn't think about that. What's so crazy is like when you have a certain mindset, right? It's hard to think in a different mindset. So it's like, you know, because I've been there before. I'm like, oh, I totally get it. But the 90% of people are like, I don't get it at all. I don't know what you're talking. I could never imagine trying to off myself. I'm like, I don't know, man. It seems pretty obvious to me how one could think that way. But I think you just had to get to that point to be like, oh, no, yeah, no, that I get it. But most people are like, no, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it takes a certain push to get to that point, you know.
Yeah.
It's not like
it's not like I spilled my milk. Time to jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
No, it's like and it's not even like you can handle a pretty large problem without having that thought.
Yeah.
But it's when those times come where it's just thing after thing
Yeah.
after thing after thing where you just start going like, oh man, is it ever gonna stop?
Yeah, that's how we started
Never
the
gonna
show, was
stop.
like talking about the layers. Like, because my dad was saying he had a bad day a couple days ago, and it's like layers. That's when it's when it's like bad thing happens. Every now and then something like crazy happens to me, and I'm just like, if it's a one-off thing, I go, okay, that sucked. But usually it's not so bad. But then it's like one thing and another and another. Let's throw one more out. It's like when it gets to the layers, it's like that's when stuff really starts weighing you down, or starts really like it exacerbates the intensity. You know what I mean? It's almost like a multiplier. Somebody's going for a combo on you. They're like 2 time, 3 time, 4 time. You're like, damn, bro, this is crazy.
Settle down.
Yeah, this is too
psycho.
much. This is too much, but that's just how it be sometimes. Yes, absolutely. So I don't know. There's so many things where it's like complicated answers to complicated questions, but it's like I feel like the solution has to be taking care of what we should be doing first. And like my dad had in the chat, it's called America First. Yeah, I kind of get that. Like, I don't know, we elect representatives to represent us, to take care of us in certain ways. So it doesn't really make sense when their mindset is, well, we got to, and this is famous, like I'm not even going to go down this rabbit hole for more than 2 seconds, but like the whole Ukraine thing and how many billions and billions and hundreds of billions of dollars they sent over to Ukraine. But we got like homeless people and cracked out streets and like all the issues we have here that we never seem to have money for, but we always seem to have money to send to foreign nations, bro. It's nuts how many, and that's one of the other stories. I don't have this because it was just too much, but like Elon Musk, he's doing this. It was like sort of a meme, but it's not real. It's like real, but the meme is memey. But he's been put in charge of this government agency that's been created by Donald Trump called the Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge, right? Because he's all about the Doge and the Dogecoin or whatever. But of course he had to have a meme. And but no, he's literally going through the books, going through the Treasury Department, going through USAID, going through FEMA, like all these things, and like seeing what are we spending our money on. And he's posting it. And he's, because he owns X, super Twitter. And he's just posting
Super Twitter now.
Yeah, super Twitter. Like it's beyond Twitter. That's his goal, is like X is this whole he's trying a currency. He's trying to make it a video platform like YouTube. He's trying all sorts of stuff. He wants it to be like the next thing. It's not a Facebook or a YouTube or a Instagram or Twitter. You know what I mean? It's like all of those things in one. So that's his grand idea, the one-stop shop. And so yeah, he's posting everything on there. And so like the government, the I don't know what you call them, deep state cronies, whatever. They're like, no, this is not right. This is not right. Oh man, and it's like, shouldn't we all be well aware of what the government's spending, what on what, where are they spending? Shouldn't that just be like 101? Like I get if it's like top secret clearance. Well, we spent $3 million, harvesting alien fingers. Okay, maybe we shouldn't know that because then we'll know aliens are real, right? But if it's like we're spending, I guess, $20 million on, I don't remember some of there's been like the craziest stuff where it's like, donkeys in Guatemala or something, like just ridiculous things where you're like, how many millions of dollars did we spend on that? And it's bonkers.
Donkeys in Guatemala. Yeah, no, that shouldn't be in the millions, actually.
No,
probably not.
I know, maybe $10. They're like, hey, what do you need? They're like, I don't know, like 2 donkeys. Here's $20. $20. I don't know why we're buying new donkeys. I don't understand. But no, I think the way that the government should be ran, that's what they should do. Like my church, they do a budget and they list everything. They're like, all right, because I just went to this for the orientation. They're like, here's the budget. This is how much money we get in from everybody donating. And they don't do any fundraiser, nothing. They're like, literally, all this money is just from people going, hey, here's $10. Hey, here's 50, whatever they're putting in, right? And so like, here's the revenue. Here's what we pay the staff. Here's what we do with these charities. Here's what we do with these missionaries. Here's what, layer it down, and then they vote, and then they have all the members vote. So you could be like, oh, no, why are we doing that? And then you can ask the elders, like, get more information from. They're like super open and transparent. This is a local church. Our government should be doing that. Are you kidding me? Our government should be like, hey, all right, so we got $2 trillion in, and so we're going to take that $2 trillion. We're going to do $600 billion to the Department of Defense, right? Because we got military, we got them all over the place. Don't you want us to not get invaded? Sure. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to spend 600 of that $600 billion. $100 billion is planes, new planes. These new planes. Okay. Well, shoot, need new planes. We got to spend $10 billion on new guns. Don't you want them to have good guns? Yeah, they should have good guns. You know what I mean? And just break it down. And then we as the people could be like, okay, cool. And if enough of us, the majority, because that's how everything else seems to work, go, yeah, I don't think so. I think we should completely cut that out of the budget. And then we all go, yeah, cut that out of the budget. 51% of us, they just cut it out of the budget. They go, oh shoot, man, we really want to spend $20 million on the Guatemalan donkeys, but we got vetoed by the people. But that's the problem, is we have a representative government, so the thing is supposed to be like we vote for the representatives to make the daily decisions, so that way we don't have to vote on every single thing, which makes sense, because otherwise we'd be voting like nonstop, and it would really slow down the process of getting anything done. But it feels like we should at least know, right? Even if we can't vote on it, it should just be transparent. Like, here's the yearly government budget. They know what they're spending before they spend it, because they have to get it approved through Congress. So Congress knows what's in the budget, but they just don't tell us. And I think that's really strange. And I think it's even more strange, the people that are in Congress, they go, the people should know. Why? Why shouldn't the people know? That's a little shady. That's a little shady that you don't want us to know. I don't know, man. It makes you look kind of shitty. So that's it for my government
bad look,
section.
they would say.
Yeah, they got bad looks here. Let's go on a little bit more of a positive note here. Domino's, I don't know if you heard about this, Jason, because Valentine's Day is coming up. Valentine's Day is actually Friday. And I was thinking, I had a couple ideas, but then I kind of ran out of money. Because I was like, oh, it'd be funny if I went on a date by myself, but then I brought like the camera and my mini tripod and I went live on Valentine's Day. So like I went to like Applebee's or something. I go, table for two. They're like, but it's just you and this camera. And then I sat down at the table.
Are you gonna do
I
this
went
at,
live.
like,
Hey, what's up?
Applebee's? We should go to like Cracker Barrel or like
You ever been to Black Rock?
No.
Oh, man. I'd love to go to Black Rock, but it's a little too expensive for my taste. But it's the place where they give you a 700-degree black rock. It's essentially a carved rock, but it's flat and square, so it's not like some rock-like thing. And then they bring you raw steak, whatever steak you want, different chops, whatever, and then you cut it and cook it right at your table. Like, imagine you being a little hibachi, a little baby hibachi, just for you, though. You know what I mean? So you cook your own steak. So you cook it essentially one piece at a time. Like, imagine the freshest steak you could possibly have. Because, even when you cook it at the house, you cook it, and then you have the whole steak cooked, and then you have to, like, get everything ready. By the time you sit down, eat it, and it's like it could be cold. Or maybe it is hot, but by the time you eat halfway through, now the rest of the steak's cold. But imagine cooking every bite one at a time. I mean, you could throw on 5-6 bites, whatever you think you're going to eat. And then they bring you the butter. They bring you all sorts of stuff. You can put toppings on there and stuff, too. But, yeah, Black Rock. Very fancy. That's what my first idea was, to go to Black Rock, but then when I ran out of money, I was like, oh, maybe Applebee's. I think they got like a $10 meal deal, which would have been pretty cool, but I don't know. We're going to see about Friday. But Domino's, they want to help you out for Valentine's Day, and they have a great gift that I think only pizza people would appreciate. Just want to put this out here. Domino's launching pepperoni-inspired perfume for Valentine's Day. What could be more attractive? Limited time edition.
You're confused.
A deux au toilet. They're trying to do some French. Is a nod. Deux au toilette. What? Is a nod to pepperoni passion pizza, and it's said to have irresistible notes of spice, pepper, and a woody, warm base to mark the launch of Au de Passion, Domino's launched steamy content featuring Married at First Sight UK star Luke DeBono on a quest to find passion, with Luke being shown spraying his chiseled physique with bespoke pizza-shaped bottle. So this is the pizza-shaped bottle, so that way you can smell like pepperonis. You know, it's funny, when we used to work at Little Caesars, you got that for free. You got to just come home and smell like pizza for free.
How much did you say it was?
Actually, they didn't say. I wonder. It says it's going to be available on their website for a 30 milligram bottle between February 10th and 15th. It doesn't say the price, but let me go ahead and launch the website. Maybe it'll just let me buy it. No, it wants me to put in my information. Oh, to win a chance. So they're not letting you buy it, but you can win. Should I sign up for this? I should sign just simply for the content. Simply for the content, so that way when it gets here, I can go, I'm going to smell like pepperonis for a day and go about, I don't know where I'm going to go to. And then people are going to be like, dude, do you smell like pepper? Do you smell something? I smell pepperonis. Like, yeah, it's me. Oh, it's only available for the UK. Oh, you guys are ruthless, Domino's. Absolutely ruthless. So if you're in the UK,
that's the only place you could,
and you want to smell like pepperonis,
like pepperoni all day.
Go to Domino's website, sign up for their pepperoni perfume. I'm curious to know what it smells like, because I've smelled pepperonis before, and I don't think I'd want to like literally spray it on me. So curious about that.
Like a skunk?
Yeah, skunk, but a meat skunk. You know what I mean? Just like a fatty. I don't even know, bro. It sounds disgusting, to be honest. Like, could you imagine spraying yourself with grease? Like, oh man, can't wait to have some of this grease on me. This is gonna be great. In brighter news, NASA is to study this city killer asteroid because the chances of hitting the Earth have increased double-fold since they first started seeing it. Just gonna abbreviate this passageway, but basically they thought at first in January that it had a roughly 1% chance. Then they estimated 1.6, and now they're up to 2.2% chance of this asteroid hitting the Earth. And I don't know about you, Jason, but 2.2% is actually kind of substantial. I know it sounds like, 2%, but like, damn, 2%?
It's 2%.
That's actually, out of 100, there's like 100 scenarios. 2 of them it hits. And to me, an asteroid hitting it's a city killer. Now, what they did say is it's the size of this asteroid won't kill us all. It's only a level 3 out of level 10, but whatever it impacts will be completely destroyed. Whatever city it's impacted will be, it says, truly catastrophic in a populated area. Wouldn't be enough to kill us like the one that killed the dinosaurs, but it will certainly be a disaster of every proportion. So we're all hoping that this doesn't happen, quote unquote. This is a little visualization of they're basically saying, here's the uncertainty region, okay? They're like, here's this little dot's the Earth, and this is the moon's orbit, because the moon might be able to hit it too, or the gravitational pull of the moon will mess it up. So these are all the points where it could pass by us. And then there's like these ones where it hits us. And if it hits us, whoever's getting hit they're not going to have a good time. It's going to be a bad time.
Well, they're probably not going to even know it. They're probably just going to get smacked.
Yeah, because it'll be quick. That's the thing about these asteroids. People think it's like the, it's like the movie. What was that movie with and if I could stay awake just to hear you breathing. You know what I'm talking about? With the Aerosmith song. Oh, man, with
Armageddon.
Armageddon, right? And they're like, oh, we got days. There's an asteroid, bro. From what I've heard, when I watch it, like scientists talk about that, they're like, that's why they're trying to look like really far out there and try to make predictions, because it's like basically by the time we see it within our solar, it's like, these things are going fast, bro. They're like, if it gets to a certain point, it's like we might not even see it coming. So we got to be looking like really far out there. And the problem is space, this universe, is gigantic. It's unfathomable how gigantic this place. So we can't possibly look in all directions everywhere. So all they do is they poke around. That's what I was watching this video. They're like, we just kind of go boop, boop, boop. They're just poking around because it's impossible to just scan. They can't just be like, oh, we're going to scan every portion of the universe. That's why they're still discovering stars to this day, planets to this day. The universe is just this epic expansion. And the craziest part is, for everything we see, that might not even be the end of the universe. There's this thing called the observable universe. Like, for how far light can go, the observable universe, they say, is 13.8 billion light years across or whatever. But they're like, but that's simply because at a certain point, like, light can't pass through the heavy, dense glass or whatever, the gas. So they're like, it could be infinite. It could be twice as big. We don't know. We just know we'll never see that because the universe is expanding at a rate faster than the speed of light. So it's physically impossible for us to ever actually see the edge of the universe if there was an edge, which is just absolutely bonkers, bro. It's like the nuttiest thing to think about. Like,
yeah, expanding faster than the speed of light. Like,
you're
you
like,
can't see that fast.
whoop, whoop, nuts, absolutely nuts. So, you know, and so when is it going to hit? They said it possibly could hit, I believe, 2028. So a couple more years, guys. And that's the thing. It's not going to kill us all. It's only going to kill some people. They said in the chat, Cheyenne, what happens if it hits the ocean? Yep, tsunami on whatever coast. So it's like it's like Russian roulette, but with the Earth. The good thing about the Earth is, though, 75% covered in water. Not a lot of land, compared 25 to 75%, so there's already good odds there. And then, you know, not every bit of every portion of land is habitable, right? We got the whole Rocky Mountains, barely anybody's living there, so it's like there's a lot of grab bags on where it could go. But, you know, it's just our luck in humanity that it's like it just perfectly lands in, you know, I don't want to say a place to like doom them, but you know what I mean? It's like it just perfectly lands in, I don't know. Well, probably London because the UK got the pepperoni smell. And the asteroid's like, I got to get that pepperoni. It smells so good. 75% of humanity lives on the Earth's coast. Well, then that's even better odds because that means most of humanity is spread on the coast. So therefore, there's a lot of land that it could hit because they're spread out, not in the land. I feel like there's a positive way to spin it regardless, but 2%, I guess we're going to look out for that. Now, going back into more positive news. I know that wasn't positive. Let's keep going into this. I saw this and I said, oh, I know. I didn't even read it because I was like, I just want to read it together and we can experience this at the same time. I saw this article that said, time traveler from the year 2671 issues several dire warnings for 2025. So get this, Jason. This guy, he's from the year 2671. And now he's coming back into the past to give us warnings on what's going to happen this year. So that's pretty cool.
He's from 2600?
Yeah, he's from 600 years into the future.
Yeah, but he wouldn't know shit about what, I mean, like,
well, they wrote about it in the history
books.
Yeah, no, they wrote about it in his history
books. Our history books only go back 100 years or so. I mean,
well, they kept records, I think. I don't know. Maybe it'll get into that. Let's see. Let's get into the details here. A self-proclaimed time traveler from the year 2671 has shared several warnings about the worst natural disasters he claims will occur in 2025. He also shared another video reminding everyone that he told everyone that TikTok was going to be banned. So he's got that going for him, which is nice. With over 940,000 followers on TikTok, man, he almost got a million followers. This person that goes by the handle @Radiant Time Traveler has created quite a stir on the video sharing platform. This despite the fact that many of his forecasted events have, in fact, not happened as they said he would. Well, I didn't know about all that. Perhaps that's an indication of how tricky time travel can be and the paradoxes he does create with his revelations, which is true, so I guess I have to give him that. That, or he's full of crap. Either way, he's back with some rather concerning events for claims he'll happen this year. So he said on March 30th, A 1 mile wide asteroid is going to hit Central America, causing a 400-mile wide crater that will be named Goliath. Millions of people will be killed, and the southern United States, along with Mexico, will be inhabitable for years to follow. In that 400, that's not going to kill us all? A 400-mile crater? That's kind of nuts. But look out for that
It's
March
only
30th.
like a state or two.
No, yeah, well, no, it's taking out all of Central America. They're all going bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, sorry, guys. April 30th, you still got a month and a half. Now, on April 20th, many of the world's largest volcanoes will erupt due to the sky turning a bright pink color. For some reason, he says this will cause a lot of pressure in Yellowstone, Fuji, and Mauna Loa, resulting in the largest eruptions in known history. Now, they've been saying Yellowstone's due for an eruption any minute now, because it was supposed to erupt like
They said it's like
thousands of years ago.
10,000
Yeah.
years. No, 10,000 years ago. It was
It's
supposed
ready.
to blow up.
So he's saying we only got 2 months until Yellowstone's up. And when Yellowstone goes up, Fuji's going up, Mauna Loa is going up, and then the sky's just going to, with all the ash, it's going to turn the sky black, and the food's going to, like, wither and die, and, famine and starvation. But beyond that, July 7th through we're still making it past all that. July 7th through the 13th, these will be the hottest days in the history of the United States. It'll be known as Heat Week, and the average temperature will be 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of the severe heat, car tires will melt and massive wildfires will proliferate. You will also get sunburn simply from stepping outside into the light. Kind of sounds like Texas in a summer day, to be honest. 114 degrees, stuff melting, instant burns. That actually doesn't sound too far off. I guess if it's like in Minnesota, you'd be like, okay, that's weird. It's not usually that hot there. Heat week. But that week of July is always the hottest. But he's saying it's going to be the hottest in history. Hottest in history. So
I think we've already beat that, though. Like, I mean, doesn't it happen all the time?
I feel like every year there's always some record of getting hotter and hotter.
Yeah.
But this will be the hottest. Absolutely hottest. Now, we're going to make it past July. We'll get to nothing in August. So good news. August will be fine. My dad's birthday's in August, so that's a good thing for him. Once we do that, though, in September, the first ever Category 6 hurricane will hit the southeastern portion of the United States. It will be heavily focused in Florida and Georgia, and wind speeds will reach 400 miles an hour, and the hurricane will be named Karen, and it will stretch for over 1,500 miles wide. Devastating. Everything. Karen's going mad, wanting the manager in every town in Florida and Georgia. He doesn't say how many people are going to die, but just assume lots. So look out for that in September. Probably plan your vacation.
What did they say the equivalent force of a asteroid would be in, like, nukes? Is it like 17 nukes or some shit?
Yeah, it's absurd. It's like, because it's like Newton force tons, some crazy measurement.
Plus,
but this hurricane's going to be like,
it's going
to be like swirly nukes. It's going to be so crazy that it's going to be like swirling, just destroying Florida and Georgia. So if you're in Florida and Georgia, probably just get out now. Then our friendly neighborhood time traveler then adds at the end of his video, hopefully after I was right about TikTok being banned, then coming back, you'll believe what I have to say. So do you? I guess that's for us to decide, I guess. So we're going to see if he was right. Hope he's not, because there was a lot of bad ones in there. A lot of people dying in there. You would think he would have thrown in like a good prediction or two. Like, okay, yeah, hundreds of million people die here. But in April, we get... I'm trying to think of something nice. Like, what's something nice that they would even predict? In April, we discover the first genetically modified I'm trying to think of something like turkey sausage or something, and it tastes just like real sausage.
Modified turkey. We already did
Yes.
that.
But now it's like real sausage. It's not like, oh, this is clearly, or like turkey bacon.
Oh,
you know
you're
how
saying, like
turkey bacon, they're like, they tried to make it a thing, but it's
Yeah.
not bacon, right? But maybe in
So
April,
you're saying like
it's real.
cloned meat.
Cloned meat,
Kinda.
but cloned turkey meat. But it's not turkeys. But it's not
Why
pigs.
would you even bother with turkeys anymore if you could?
You don't
just
need
clone...
them. That's what I'm saying. Isn't that a good thing?
No, I'm
we
saying
don't got to kill
like,
any
if
more
you could
turkeys.
clone any of the meats, why would you pick turkey? You would pick beef.
Because of
obviously.
the protein, right? It's like a leaner protein, I think. Is
Oh,
it leaner than
guess.
chicken? Or I think chicken's leaner than turkeys. I think turkeys are
No.
known for being fat.
Turkey, no. I mean,
Because
it
those
depends where
turkeys,
you
they
get it
barely
from, I
do
guess.
anything. They're like, oh, I'm going to wobble around.
Yeah, the
I'm a
chickens
turkey.
sit in a coop.
No, chickens are flying. They're going. Boop, 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 boop.
Flying.
Yeah. Like, not like
Chickens aren't flying
flying,
around.
but you know what I mean? They're like kind
Yeah,
of
no.
like flapping their wings real hard, not going nowhere. But I think can turkeys fly? Like fly?
I doubt it.
Why are all these birds flightless? What's up with these birds being flightless? They lost that ability over the years. They're like, we don't got to go nowhere. So we just kind of stopped flying. I guess.
Yeah, like, what's the point?
I guess here. All right, and then my last little article thing in Insano World was this thing I came across. No, hang on, not yet, Mr. Bezos. It was the strike that was going on, and I had it in my pool of things to go over. But I saw this thing, and this guy's doing what I'm doing, except for I got to know when all the things are going down, because I just got to, that's when, it's the grind, right? Just get out there and just start interviewing people about anything and everything, because it's all content. This guy went out to the Amazon strike that they're doing by one of their warehouses because they're saying they're not getting paid enough and they're working too hard or whatever. And I said, okay, this could be a good topic of discussion. So here's his video, a quick little short on what they're going out there.
Bezos, $21 is not a livable wage, and he knows damn well it isn't.
What would be your message to Jeff Bezos?
To Jeffrey.
Stop trying to go to fucking space on our back.
We're here at the
Don't
Amazon
go to
warehouse
space.
in New York City.
He has a
where
nicer
the
mic
Teamsters Union has started
stand
what
thing
they
than I
call
do.
the largest strike against Amazon in
Was the
US
largest.
history.
Well, they try to give us snacks and stuff instead of giving us
Snacks.
more money.
I don't like what Jeff Bezos is doing. My mom deserves better. She's only making this much money an
Damn, they
hour,
brought
and
the
she
kids
works
in.
hard. And my daughter said it's not okay.
So they're
She's
trying
like,
to
I
buy
don't
you
even
off.
work there. I'm
Snacks
striking
like
for
we're
my
little
mom.
Kids, yeah.
What is it like to work for Amazon this time of the year?
It's rough. It is really rough. We're doing fucking 150. I don't know if I could curse or not, but we're doing 150 stops. We're
Sounds like
doing
my dad.
600
Oops, I
packages,
cuss.
to be Santa
Can I do
Claus
that?
And bring their packages to them. So of course, the workload increases. The demands on us increase. We're doing 300 packages individually. People are some guys are delivering 400 packages individually.
Sounds like a lot of
daily.
packages.
We work hard. We're Americans. We're used to working hard, but pay us compensatory to what we're worth.
The workers aren't trying to get rich. They just want to provide for their families. We want to pay their rent.
That guy looks like
They
the dude
wanna
from
put food on
Silicon
the
Valley.
table. That's it. Nobody's going out
The
and
villain
buying a
from Silicon
yacht.
Valley.
We provide the money for you, Jeff Bezos. Without us, you do not get any money.
Damn. They provide the money for Jeff Bezos. So that's like a topic of discussion. Like, you heard what he said in the beginning. $21 an hour is not a livable wage. We've had this discussion numerous times throughout all the years. Obviously, never on camera, because it's usually just me and Jason in a room ranting to each other
Right.
about wages and like the expectations or what's good, whatever. So it's like, damn, what is the expectation with work where it's like, in his instance, $21 an hour is not a livable wage. They obviously want more than that. What is either A, what is a livable wage? Or B, what is the expectation to obtain a livable wage? Is it for everyone? Is it for like this livable wage, a 16-year-old kid working 15 hours a week should be getting the same as a 30-year-old's trying to get a livable wage? Is it the same thing? Is that what's going on here? Like, what?
Well, I mean,
Where do
I
we
think
start
they
with this?
expect an 18-year-old to be able to go and get an apartment. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like even the Like right now, it's nearly impossible to like maintain an apartment with just one income, like
Yeah. But
on your average income, I should say.
But that's the problem is like, okay, so then now every company has to pay every worker the,
Oh, believe me, I see
you
the
know, it's
problem.
like, oh, well, to make a livable,
Yeah.
it's $30 an hour. Like, damn, every worker has to make $30 an hour because of
No,
things
instead of,
beyond
like-
the workers, you know, and it's like the company doesn't make the apartment rates, right? They're like, these are things beyond my control, but I have to But there's also a disconnect between federal, because that's a whole nother discussion here, is like minimum wage federally, and because now they're trying to increase the federal minimum wage. But every state has their own minimum wage. But regardless of minimum wage, every market, as you could say, has its own, it's kind of like, what do they call it? A prevailing wage or something like that, where it's basically like, okay, yeah, like when we're in Texas, it's like, yeah, Texas is technically $7.25 minimum, but you know, all the other companies around there weren't paying $7.25, so then you had to pay more. Otherwise, somebody would just work down the street and go make that extra buck because everybody else was paying it. So it's like, okay, then even companies can't deal with the minimum wage. So there has to be like some line, but it's like, I get it. Obviously, like everybody wants to be able to provide for their family, but at the same time, I think it has to be like something that is, like when that guy said, it was a very tough word there. I think he nailed it, but it was like compensatory. But basically, like for the amount of input, output should be equated, right? And it's like, okay, that makes sense, but at the same time, there is such thing as skilled labor and unskilled labor, right? So are we saying that a person that could be fit in like for an entry-level job to do anything, like those kids I was talking to at the movie theater, they all got jobs being baggers, except for the one guy, which is funny. But they got to their baggers at the grocery store. So it's like, okay, well, anybody can put stuff in the bag. You know what I mean? Like, there almost has to be an incentive to upskill or to get more credentials because now you're trying to manage people or whatever it is. Like, if everybody already started from the bottom, was already comfortable, then what's the incentive to do more or get more besides the people that are already going to do that? The people that in their heart, they're like, oh, I want to run this building, or I want to be a engineer.
I mean, you see these people out there with billions of dollars, like they don't need billions of dollars. They're just doing, like, there's a lot of rich people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in the United States. Like, and I don't think that it would necessarily, like, I don't think it's, not to sound like socialist or whatever, but like, like, you know, I mean, it kind of is, but the poor people are not also the people that are getting rich. You know what I mean? Like there's already a distinction there.
Yeah.
So like, would it further it? Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe there would be just the bottom and just the top. There would be very little middle class.
Because there's a discussion to be had, Jason, where it's like some people say there shouldn't be billionaires. There shouldn't exist a class of people that can have more than $999,999,000. It shouldn't be a thing. Like, you, after a certain threshold, they just keep taking from the top. Like, you never get more than that's like $1 billion. Because then, you know, it's like you don't understand how much a certain amount is until you like look at it in certain terms. Like, it's like a million seconds is like, I can't remember it's this analogy, but it's like 1 million seconds is a few weeks, and then 1 billion seconds is like a couple hundred years or something like that. It's like, it's a massive difference. So it's like there's something to be said about wealth accumulation, where it's like, and that's where I'm from. In my brain, it's like, I need these rich people to do something with their damn money. You got to do something with it. I can't stand I pinch every penny. Okay, for what?
Well, the problem
to just
is,
have more
like,
pennies. Then you got to give that. Give me that, though.
When
give me it.
When they do those things, though, it's like even when they like, oh, okay, yeah, do something with the money. Well, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Build. I would assume make their business bigger to make more money.
No, you're the only one who would answer that question that way. Anyway, most people would say donate it to charity.
No, not rich people. That's what I'm saying. Like, rich people,
right?
That would be the only thing they would think of is if I'm gonna have to spend money into something, I want it to make me more money. Like that's in their heads. They're like, the only way I spend it is if it's gonna give me more of that stuff I'm trying to hold on to. So that's why I'm like, well, at bare minimum, if they actually did that, that's why I don't hate on Jeffrey Bezos at all. He didn't make any money for like the first 15, 20 years of the Amazon. They just started making money like not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago. Because every year he poured everything back into R&D, into building warehouses, building factories, building robots. Like, he was like, bro, I'm pouring. So, like, his investors were like, please, Jeffrey, make money. And he's like, no, put it back in. So then they just kept growing. Now Amazon's like the biggest company in the world, or one of the biggest. I think Apple's still bigger than them, but it's like, at least that's something, bro. At least that's something. But it's like, to me, that's what we have to do for. It's like, I get it. You made this money because I see it from both sides of it. I saw this video and I thought this would be good to bring up. It was like millionaires versus minimum wage employees. And they had like this discussion about like, and you had to, if you agreed, you sat down. If you disagreed, then you waited to sit down, and then you sat down, and then they had a discussion. But it was like, I worked, or I earned my money. I worked hard and I earned my money. And then whoever agreed, they sat down or whatever. And so like a lot of people don't understand that, yes, at some point, anybody, most of them, it's not the vast majority of people are like, oh, they're all inherited. No, the vast majority did something. They grounded out a lot of things. The inherited one it's a small percentage. If you look at like the actual list of the richest 500 people or something like that. So it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. They did grind. Jeffrey, he was like, bro, I had a desk that was made out of a door. He's like, I didn't even buy a desk. I had a door. I slept. Elon Musk was famous for not even having a house. He would just sleep in his building. He's like, they're like, oh, I grinded. And now we're billionaires, and it's like, okay, I get that. I get they put in the work. But at the same time, it's like the argument is to be had, and I understand this, where it's like, why do we as people then have to burden the cost of the poor people because, all those benefits and stuff, like food stamps and like all this other stuff, like it comes from taxpayers. So it's like, why don't you guys I get it. But see, this is the quote. It's like they pay their fair share. Well, what's fair? Because the top 1% pay more than I think it's like 50 or 60% of all taxpayers. So proportionally, yeah, they actually pay beyond their fair share. But it's like, I think that's necessary, though. It's like they have way more money versus I think the thresholds for like what is required of people should be way higher. What, like, for anybody making like, I don't know, below $200,000 a year, you shouldn't be paying no tax, bro. No tax. I don't know what that number is, but to me, it's like maybe $150,000. If you're making less than $150,000 a year, no tax. We don't want it from you. It's all right, bro. It's like for people that are way down there, they already are not paying tax. Technically, I think it's like below $40,000 a year. At the end of the day, your refund comes back. It's like it's a wash. But then there's that gap between like 40 and 150 where it's progressively you pay like a substantial chunk of your funds. But it's like, bro, that we're not. Even if you took everybody's taxes from all the people making $100,000 a year, it's like a drop in the bucket compared to everybody above that. So it's like, bro, then take away the drop. Just let everybody below $150,000 pay no taxes. we're good on it. Then maybe the richest 1%, yeah, I think they should pop in another, I don't know, another percent or two. Do another percent or two. I like you were like, I don't want to sound like a socialist. I don't want to sound like a socialist, but damn, bro, like I'm sorry. I think we need to really reconsider what we're asking of who or whom. You know what I mean? It's like anybody, and like I don't understand why I pay. I can't remember. I obviously just filed the taxes. I think I paid like, I don't remember, $9,000 in federal tax. 9,000, bro. You know what I could have done with 9,000? A hell of a lot. I could already probably had a house by now if I kept not paying $9,000 in federal tax. But instead, they're like, no, we need that, bro. We got to send $20 million to the Venezuelan donkeys or whatever. And it's like, bro, no, we could have asked the rich people to pay a little bit more so that way we didn't have to pay nothing, bro. Because it's not a crazy thing. Like you're thinking like, oh, well, honestly, a majority of Americans don't make over $150,000 a year, right? So you're like, that'd be a lot of people not paying it. But then to offset it, it probably only needs like what, 3% from the richest 1%. It maybe needs 3% to offset it. I don't know, bro. I think that's worth it. I think that's worth it. The rich people would be like, no way, 3%. Do you know how many millions of dollars that is, or whatever? It's like, yeah, kind of, but I think it's all right. I think it'll be all right. I don't know. It's a very tough discussion to have, but it's hard because, like my dad said, well, the answer is the American dream. Work for yourself, and you'll never be the master of your own destiny, or your wants or your dreams working for someone else. And that's true. That's true. You'll never truly be able to just be the best version of yourself unless you're literally at the top of the food chain. Even if you're the president of a company, if somebody owns the company, you're still answering to somebody. You know, even if it's shareholders, you're still beholden to the shareholders. So it's like,
I think most times it's shareholders.
yeah, unless it's like a private company, and then there's the owner themselves. But either way, like somebody, no matter how high you are in the food chain, somebody's always above you. And so at the end of the day, they could just go, yeah, you're not working out. Goodbye. But when you're the owner of your own company, unless it's a shareholder company, because they can still kick you out of your own company like Papa John's, that's when he said one. My dad comes on the show, he sends N-words left and right. Papa John's guy sends one N-word at a meeting. They kicked him out of his own company. It's absolutely nuts. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That's why I was like, when we were making the agreements, like I'm like signing Jason up. I'm like, all right, he's an official employee. I gave him 49 because I gotta have 51. I gotta be able to, you can't get kicked out of your own company. You know how crazy that is?
Yeah, that's right.
Like the Facebook movie where the guy, he helped start Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg, but then they did some willy-dilly stuff where they're like, oh, well, we're going to dilute the shares to do this or that, and it basically diluted him out of a majority, so then they kicked him out, and they were like paying him pennies. It wasn't not like pennies, but like this much for the valuation of the company worth billions, and he's like, what the hell? That's crazy. Like, oh, yeah, we got to be well aware of that, Jason. But that's the goal. And the thing is, it's not too crazy. Everyone can start a business. Anyone literally can start a business. You can file for an LLC. You can do something. Now, it is, obviously, there's what do they call it? The supply and demand. Well, what are you going to supply? Is there a demand for it? You can't just be, well, all right, what am I going to do? I'm going to make my own business, and I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to dip my socks in coffee, and then they're going to be brown, and they're going to smell like coffee, and I'm going to sell coffee socks. Come buy my coffee socks. Like, how many people want the damn coffee socks? Very, very few. So, yeah, you're probably not going to make a livable wage selling coffee socks. But if you have a skill, this kind of goes back to, like, the skilling up and wanting to do better. It's like, do you have something that could be of value to somebody else? You know, back in the day before money existed, there was like a barter system. Before there was even things, they were like, I do this for you, you do something for me, and then eventually it was like, I do this for you, and you give me this value that I can do stuff for myself, and then it evolved into like, I work and you give me money. It's like, it kind of went to that. But everybody has something, and if you don't have anything. Like I'm trying to think of like somebody that they have no skills, no expertise, no opinion, like nothing. Because I think even these days, what are we doing right now? We're just talking on the internet. You're telling me at bare minimum you don't have an opinion in a everybody got a camera. I was looking on Facebook Marketplace for webcams because I was like, with my new setup, I might need a webcam. And there's like, I remember in COVID, you couldn't get a webcam for less than $100, even the shitty ones. It was like, everybody needs a webcam. And then after COVID, they're like, bro, we can't even give these things away. I'm looking at like HD 4K cameras going for less than $50 now. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. I bought like a 720p camera in the 2020 era for like, I think it was like 60 or $70. I was like, damn. But it was like the only option because they were just sold out left and right. I had to get something. And now they're just giving away. So anybody, bro, anybody can do something to make money. But the problem is it's a lot more work when you want to do it for yourself than it is doing it for somebody else. You know what I mean? There's always a job you can get hired at. But it's when you're doing your own work, there's no one else supporting you. You have to support yourself. Like, you know, if you're going to be coffee sock guy, well, guess what? You're going to have to somehow acquire these socks. You're going to have to make them. You're going to have to dip them in coffee for however long you say your process is. Smell them. Make sure they got the scent. Then you got to advertise. You got to tell people about them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of work that goes involved. You can't just make socks, sit in your home, and expect people to buy them. You got to tell people. Who's going to buy these damn socks? You got to make Facebook ads. You got to create videos. You got to, you know, there's a lot of work to be involved to grind it out. There's so many businesses out there that you would think are like, I mean, the coffee socks is absolutely ridiculous, but there's other businesses that you would think are ridiculous because they're so niche. But then there's like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people that go, oh, I wish somebody was doing that. I wouldn't put in all the work to do it, but because that other person's doing it, I'll just buy it from them. You know what I mean? That's how Etsy got big, because it was like, or Etsy and Pinterest and all that stuff where it's like people selling intricate things. They're like, I make this one-off thing. It's like, damn, I didn't want to make nothing. So it's good you're making it. I'll just buy it from you. So it's like, that's great. Like Dylan made the spice shelf thing for somebody in his neighborhood. He was like just trying to make money left and right when he was on the layoffs. And so he made the spice shelf thing, and then somebody else saw it and they were like, oh man, I want one of those too. And he was like considering making like spice shells on Etsy. You would think like that's some niche ass thing, but like there's a bunch of people. I even saw it. I was like, that's kind of sick, bro. It's like had all your spices, and then it had like a built-in rollie for your putting in your paper towel holder, and then it had like different size ones so you can put in like bottles, like olive oil, stuff like that. It was like kind of sick. I was like, dang, see that? I was even thinking I'd buy one of those spice things. And so that could be anybody. I think anybody can run a business, but it's kind of like my theory of anybody can technically do anything they put their mind to. It's just, what are you willing to put your mind to? And that's where you have to go to like your passions. What do you feel strongly about? What are you good at? Or what is something that you can do easily without it seeming like a burden? And I think if more people figured that out, and maybe if there was a better way, because I always thought that in high school. I always thought like, man, I really don't know. It's like I had good ideas of what I wanted to do. I remember growing up always thinking I wanted to do 3 things. I wanted to be a businessman, I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a chef. It was like somewhere between those 3, and like I always leaned bounce.
I remember the chef phase.
But it was like I couldn't quite pin it down, and I always wished there was like an evaluation that like it's not even answering questions, like it just scanned your brain, and then it was like, oh, you would be really good at this, you should do this. And then it'd be like, oh, you know, like a sorting hat sort of thing, but like with jobs. I wish that existed. That'd be the craziest thing. That'd be awesome, because then everybody would understand like what they would be good at. So that way more people could do what is actually something that fuels them versus something they have to do. You know what I mean? Like how many people, what do you think the percentage of people that are doing something they just absolutely hate because it just pays the bills? What do you think that percentage is?
I think that percentage is pretty large, but it's also because like people say like, oh, you never work a day in your life if you make something you love.
Yeah, doing something
which
you love.
For the most part, I kind of agree with. But there is also a certain amount of damage that doing something for work does to a hobby or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think you have to really, really love what you're doing to have it not affect it. Because to be honest, I mean, like, training isn't really like it's like kind of, it's fulfilling, like you're literally fueling the next generation of employees or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got a lot of joy out of that. But I still got frustrated. You know what I mean? Like, when every single morning somebody is calling off at who knows what store, and they're like, I just don't know the phone numbers of any of my employees. I don't know what to do. It's like, well, here I come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that sucks. But also, I was doing something that I loved.
Yeah.
Just probably in the wrong place.
Yeah. I mean, see, that's supposed to be the incentive of going to college, because it's not like you go to college and they just spin a wheel and then they go, you're an engineer now. It's like you're supposed to pick something that you enjoy.
That you like.
Like going to college.
Which is why I started out with the tech stuff. But then they were like, do you want to learn about the history of computers? I'm like, no, I want to. But yeah, I mean, I understand.
And that's how I ended up pooping the bed on the college, because I was like, I really wasn't sure. Like we were just talking about, like I wasn't sure exactly what I want to do. And you were like, well, I'm going to go to this ITT for computer stuff. And I was like, well, I like computer stuff too. All right, I'll just do that. And I just hopped on that bandwagon. And then it was just something that I just really couldn't get into. It was like a complete drag to get. That's why I dropped out. It was like, it was already hard enough just getting through the classes, let alone working a ton of hours and like barely sleeping. You know, and it was like the layers outside of school were shitty, let alone actually being in it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man. But luckily I ended up, I mean, obviously the progression of it, it's like, luckily for me, I didn't end up needing college. But it's like, I think a lot more people, like my kids, I'm telling them all the time, I know their mom tells them all the time, like, you got to go to college. I think it's a requirement to if you're trying to do good.
Now it is, for sure.
You got to do, it's like, there's two paths. I feel like if you're a grinder, if you're like, man, I'll work hard at whatever I do and I'll be successful no matter what, and you got it in your heart, you'll win. In the end, it's all about drive and passion, and the people that really, really want it, they'll get it. But you can either do option A, which is my option, right? And it's like, oh, well, then guess what? Time to grind for a decade. You know, time to really put in the gears and do all this really hard stuff and stressful, and and it really claw your way. Or you could go to college for 4 years and start in the middle. You know, it's like you can kind of go and then take off from there. It's like basically I can either crawl on my hands and knees until I get up to a slight walk and then I could start running, or I can get off. It's like getting out of a car, a moving car. It's like I get off and I'm already going. Right. So it's like obvious. But the thing is, it's beyond just this generic, like go to college, get a degree. It's like, well, no. You got to pick something that makes money. Because some people go to college and they'll spend $100,000. They get their master's degree in, it's famous.
Underwater basket weaving.
Yes, I was going to say there's a famous ones where they're just ridiculously stupid. Gender studies or something. And it's like, okay. And then they complain that they're in debt. But it's like, what did you think you were going to make money? How did you think you were going to make money out of that? How did you think like, oh, because college needs to be looked at as an investment. But it's not a typical investment, because investments are usually I put money in here and it makes me money. It's an investment in yourself. You're investing into yourself. You're supposed to be acquiring the knowledge, skills, and experience needed to get a job. And but you can't just willy-nilly pick anything. You have to get – but like some people are like, well, college isn't necessary. It's not technically necessary if you want to be a General manager of McDonald's? No, I guess not. Do you want to be an engineer? Well, then yes. Do you want to be a doctor? Then yes. Do you want to be a lawyer? Then yes. Like, if you want to be these serious things, well, you gotta go to college. There's no way around that. There's no doctors out there that go, well, I didn't go to medical school, but I did some YouTube videos, and I experimented on that operation, where it's like, I got the funny bone out, it's like, there's none of that. So it's like, if you want to be a serious one, you have no choice but to go to college. It's just the people that they don't want those types of jobs. Well, then, yeah, you got to really think hard on what you're going to do, because it will be a severe debt. I mean, college is really expensive. That's a whole different discussion to have, is like, why the hell does college cost so much? Like, some of these colleges, if you're going to U of M or Notre Dame or this or that, and then you're like, why is college so expensive? And they're paying the football coach $9 million, and they're paying the players, $1 million here and this and that, and they just put in this new $50 million section of the school, and it's like, well, damn, I mean, I think I know why college costs so much. So it's like, I totally get not going to a university. As an employer, not like the owner, but as somebody that hires tons of people, especially throughout the years, but definitely still now, I don't go like, oh, this particular school. It's like, if you have a degree, especially if it's something that you need a degree in. Like, if I'm hiring a network engineer, bro, you're gonna have to get network engineer, what'd you do? I fixed my computers at home. It's like, that's not good enough, bro. You gotta have certifications at certain levels. But I don't go, oh, well, you got a certification at this school. Like, nobody cares, bro. For most applications, they don't even ask you where you got it. They're just like, do you have a degree? Do you have a bachelor's? Do you have a master's? Do you have a whatever? And it's like, you say yes, and then you say, what's the degree in? And they go, that's it. They don't even care where you get it from, which to me, it sounds stupid. It's like, they just got a degree. That's how it is. Because some jobs, you're like, you don't need a degree. And it makes sense. If you don't need a degree for it, that's just ridiculous to ask for one. It's like, why is that even a requirement? But certain things, especially what they call high-skilled jobs, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But that's where we need to prepare the next generation better to say, like, what do you want to do? I ask my kids all the time, like, do you ever think about what you want to do when you grow up? And, like, when they're really young, it's like, nah, I don't know, or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, just keep thinking, just keep mulling on that, because it's like, I don't want you to get to, like, 10th grade and be like, what do you want to do? Oh, I'm not sure. Like, damn, you only got 2 years left, bro. You better prepare yourself. Because the kids that are the most successful are, like, the ones that know what they want to do going into high school. Like, they hit 9th grade and they go, yeah, I'm going to be a psychologist. I'm going to be a computer biologist or whatever. I'm going to be a blank. So then they grind out 9th and 10th grade, getting through the normal stuff. They start getting into AP classes. 11th and 12th grade, I know people that got associate's degrees before they even got into college. It's like, you can take enough classes to get a degree, but if you took all the super classes to get a degree just jumping out of high school, if you're like, what you're trying to do and you grind it out, I think we need to prepare more kids so that way they know what they want to do, even if it's not going to college, because that's a whole different discussion. It's like, there's trades. We need plumbers and electricians, HVAC. We need somebody to clean the sewer. There's other things that it's not college, but I think they call it higher education. It's something beyond high school. Those are things, too, that we need workers for that pay well. And those jobs pay well because, especially the ones that there's this guy named Mike Rowe, and he has this show called Dirty Jobs. There's all these jobs that nobody wants to do. They pay really well because nobody wants to do them damn jobs. So in order to incentivize people to do them, they got to pay people a lot more money. So the guy that actually cleans out the sewer, he makes, well over 6 figures. He's in there. But he has to smell like poop every single day. That's a trade-off. But we got to pay somebody to do it. So we got to pay them good so they don't leave. But that's some people out there that are like, bro, I don't care about smelling like poop. They pay me what? $150,000 a year? I'll smell like poop. That's all right with me. But versus me, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not smell like poop. I guess I can't make that much money then because I'm not willing to smell like poop. But that's a thing. So it's
kills me is the guys who climb those, like,
the poles,
fucking towers. Yeah, man. Not even just the poles. Like the poles, I'm kind of okay with. You could get there with regular equipment.
I was going to say the Philadelphia Eagle fans. They're like, I've been climbing poles this whole week. Do you know how many poles I knocked down climbing to the top? You're talking about cell towers.
I'm talking about those like cell towers that are like hundreds of feet in the air or whatever, and you're like looking down like, holy shit, bro.
Those are the things where I get it. We got to pay those guys. Like, what do they need? Like, that's the supply and demand. There's a very little supply of those, or, the demand for the labor, but there's a very little supply of the people willing to do that. So it's like, well, then they got to make a lot more money because we got to find the people and then keep them. Versus the person putting the patty on the bun. I'm sorry, dude. Like, going to the beginning of this conversation. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know, but I think the minimum wage, that's where people get it conflated. There's the minimum wage and the livable wage. There has to be a minimum because these employers are cheap as hell. They're cheap as hell, and whatever they can get away with, they will. So, yes, there has to be a minimum. These people are too cheap. But does everybody have to get the livable wage? And that sounds really weird to say. Like, does everybody? But do you know what I mean, Jason? Like, not everybody gets to make whatever the livable wage is. That would be crazy. But then I guess that goes into my point about them bringing the labor to America and things have to cost more because we're paying people. So it's like, I guess if everybody did make a livable wage, things would cost more. Is that worth it? Is that more? If the minimum wage and the livable wage ended up being, let's say, $25 an hour. So even if you were just entry level at McDonald's, 16, 17, 18,
the one thing
25.
They need to do that is the separation between the unrealistic, inflation of the entire economy by giving everybody the livable wage.
Yeah.
What they need to do is reduce the livable wage.
Yeah, right? It's like instead of increasing the bottom, decrease the top. Like, figure out how to get the cost down.
I mean, maybe I think that people would be willing to struggle a little bit, okay, rent is $800 and I get $800 every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, one check is gone. Other check is, some bills and a little bit of spending money.
Yeah.
Like not a lot, but something that realistically, if you were smart about it, you could take it and save it and eventually chop away that, you could, instead of everybody in the nation going into debt, they would be like, I got a little savings.
Yeah.
It's not like going to take me to, Bermuda every weekend or whatever, but it's something, versus now it's like, it's $1,300 for rent and you get paid $800 on your first check. So you're already into your second check before you even
you have to preload
work those hours.
You have to all right, this check, I know my next check is really negative. I do that too for one check is just too heavy. So I'm like, I have to make sure in one check, whatever's extra, it goes forward.
Yeah.
You got to pay it forward to make sure it's there for the super drop. So I get that. But what's crazy to think of this, Jason, because it's also a mindset, it's a mentality thing. I bet you if we reset the debt, because that's everyone's complaint, well, I got this debt. I guarantee it almost. Where if we had Fight Club, where the spoiler alert if you haven't seen Fight Club and it's like a 20-year-old movie, where they blow up all the credit agencies at the end or whatever. And so essentially it's like debt's wiped out. I bet you if we wiped out debt, the people that were severely in debt, they'll just end up in debt again. It's like a mindset thing.
Sure.
So they're like, you would think oh, well, then everybody's going to be even. And then we're saving money and people are buying houses and people are making their own companies. It's like, the people that were in debt before, they're going to be maybe not the ones that are a little in debt. Like there's some people where it's like they get a little bit in debt and it's like, it's like the people I think I'm a great example where it's like I'm not severely in debt. I think if I had to add up everything, not counting car and house, to me that's not ever a debt. One day I do want to be debt free. I'll never count my car and my house. Everybody has to have a car. Everybody has to have a house. You'll probably always be paying for it until you're old and you got your mortgage paid off. But beyond car and debt, let's say it's like almost 7,000. Like, that's not ridiculous. Like, I think the average American is like $15,000 in credit card debt. And it's like, the problem with credit card debt is everybody, when they get the credit cards, they max them out. And then when you get the minimum payment is like a couple dollars more or then the interest that's about to drop, right? So it's like, I'll pay $50 on, let's say, PayPal, my PayPal credit card, and then $43 gets put back on interest at the end of the month. So it's like, you're thinking, oh, $50, it's a $1,500 card. You get this knocked out 50, 50, 50. It's like, no, it's $7. It's a net positive of $7. So you're thinking 7, 7, 7. So like, oh, this is going to take a really long time. And that's the problem with credit cards. That's something Donald Trump said he was going to look into. And Bernie Sanders was like, all right, I see you, Donald. So they're supposed to be working together about lowering the maximum threshold for credit card interest rates. Because they're like, credit card interest rates are too crazy. These people are charged like 29% interest. So they're going to try to like look at it and see like, what can we max it to? Can we max it to like 15% or something? Because the credit card companies, they went on trial and they were asked, what is your profit margin? Jason, what do you think the profit margin for these credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, stuff like that? What do you think they make profit margin percentage-wise? Throw me out a guess.
Per year?
Yeah, per year.
Billions.
No, percentage-wise.
Oh, percentage-wise.
Percentage
in
of
profit.
Yeah. Revenue to profit.
Like 83?
Oh, that's crazy.
Percent?
That's crazy. You would think that. Well, because that's way too high of a guess, Jason. You're supposed to guess something reasonable. It's 51%. They profit 51%. There ain't no business on this world that profits more than 30%. Like Apple is notorious for having absurd profits because they charge too much for their stuff, and they only profit 30%. And they make like hardware and stuff. These credit card companies like, we don't do nothing. We make 51%. Like, damn, bro, you ever think about making less profit? Like, decrease them percentages a little bit? Like, this is nuts. That's absurd. But I can see, like, because they don't do much, so it's like, I can see why you think, like, well, the profit's probably outrageous, which, honestly, 51% is outrageous.
They literally just take in the money.
Yeah.
And they're making interest on it. Like, it's got to be ridiculously high.
Yeah. I mean,
but
what is their
the one thing I didn't actually
output?
take into account is labor.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I mean, yeah, they order checks, they order the cards. I can't really imagine it's a wild amount of things, but then, yeah, the people are the most expensive tool there.
Yeah. And there's probably some infrastructure that's like doing all the transaction stuff, like, but yeah, it's not much. So it's like, I can totally see, like, then why are you charging 30% interest? This is nuts if you're making that much money. Once again, it's like the rich people. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm not saying, I'm not a socialist. I'm not saying take all their money. Take a little bit more. Take a little bit more. Just a little bit. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. We can't be the only ones struggling. We got to take a little bit more from them. Not much. Not much. I know the rich people in the chat, they're like, no, just a little bit, please.
Well, I mean, really, though, if they did take a little bit more and cost, like I said, we bring that ceiling down a little, where rent is $800 again rather than fucking 13, 14, and plus.
But that's the problem is, like, who charges the rent? The people that own the building. So the rich people are going, well, I mean, I got to charge $1,300 because, you know, my property tax went up this and that. There's like a chain of like the increased cost of this causes me to this, and then I got to charge this more. So then because that person charged me more, I got to charge them more. And then because they're in charge of the domino effect. So it's like, where does it stop? Where does it start? Where does it start? Where does it stop? Where's the loop? There's a giant loop, and it feels like it kind of starts with the government, kind of how we started this section about the inefficiency of the government, inefficiency of them spending money, so therefore they have to charge us higher taxes. They're charging us higher taxes. They're charging business tax. They tax. It's crazy that you can actually reduce. If me and you like did like an experiment where it's like I handed you $20, the government would be like, oh, well, you got to pay 7%. He has to pay 7%. That's federal tax, you know, the Social Security tax, blah, blah. And then you take that, whatever is left of that at that point, you know, let's say $15, and then you now hand it back to me, they'd be like, oh, well, then you got to, you know, and it's like you could technically tax something to dust just by using it as a transaction over and over again. You know what I mean? Like the government's like, no, like if I, you know, gave you, like, it's crazy. I buy an item and I pay sales tax on it. And then I go, you know what? I'm going to sell it to you. You'd be like, oh, okay, I'll buy it. And then the government's like, hey, he gets to pay sales tax on that. And you're like, wait, I already paid it. They're like, but he didn't. Oh, okay. And then you get it. And you're like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then you sell it to somebody else. And they're like, wait, he has to pay sales tax on that. Like, nope, 2 people paid sales tax on that. We don't got to do that no more, right? They're like, no, everybody got to along the chain.
Always.
It's like nuts, bro. Everything's taxed. Everything's like I find it crazy that we have to register our cars with the government. Every year when my title is expired, I go, why do I got to do this? Why do I got to do this every year? It's not because of safety. I get it in Texas. In Texas, I'd say, you know what? It's because it's safety. Because you know what you got to do in Texas, people, if you didn't know this? In Texas, when you go to register your vehicle, you actually have to prove that it's a working vehicle. Like, you got to get a checklist you got to go to a maintenance guy or just an oil change place, and then they give you an evaluation, and then you turn that in to the DMV. Texas, they're serious. They're like, bro, you got to have a car because there's going to be like 3-hour stretches where there's nothing. So this car got to work, right? Versus Michigan, they don't even care. They don't even know if your car has wheels or nothing. It runs. They're like, give us $150.
If you can get it into this parking lot, we'll give you.
They don't even need to see it. They're just like, do you have a title?
Yeah,
give us $150. You're like, damn. This is nuts, dude. What am I paying this for? They're like, so the government knows you have a car. Okay. Why do I care if the government, if I have insurance? I feel like, okay, having insurance, that makes sense. Because then if you hit somebody and then, you know, they got to get medical bill, you know, whatever. Insurance to me makes sense. I disagree with the cost of it, but it makes sense to me. But registering vehicles don't make sense unless you do it Texas style, and it's simply just to make sure people have actual viable vehicles for the road. Then I go, okay, that sounds like a worthy cause. But Michigan, they don't have no worthy cause. They just give me your money now for no good reason. So I completely disagree with Michigan.
It's so that if your car gets stolen, they know whose it was.
My insurance says that. They're like, my insurance and my title. I have like several pieces of paper. They're like, this car belongs to me. They're like, but you didn't tell Michigan. It's like, but I got the thing that says vehicle belongs to this person. Insured under this person. They're like, but you didn't tell us. So it doesn't count. I guess so.
Well, technically anybody can get insurance on any car.
Well, yeah, but the title, you got to have the title to say that you really own the car. Like if you go to junk a car, a lot of the junkers, they don't want to take it. If you don't have the title, they're like, bro, I don't know, you could have stole this thing. For insurance, you don't have to have the title. But to like say you own it, well, yeah, you got to have the title. So that's why I'm like, why do you register it if I already have a title that says I own this thing? And it's simply just another tax. And then for Michigan, once again, it doesn't make sense because you would think, oh, well, okay, it's from the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, so they probably use the money for the roads. But then why are the roads shit? Why are all the roads complete garbage? Why is there all... This is the craziest part I don't get about Michigan. There's always construction, but it's never done. It's like there's always construction, I feel like in the same places. Versus in Texas, yeah, there's construction, but like they get it done. Like there'd be a portion of the road that was getting constructed. I remember going to Granbury and Ennis, and there was always that one strip by the Whataburger that was always, it was under construction for a good chunk, but then at some point it got done. I was only in Texas for a year and a half, and a lot of things were under construction, but at some point then got done. There's this one bridge, it's this really convenient bridge thing, this exit on 75, where I'm driving down 75, and there used to be a telegraph exit, and then it would save me like, I don't even know, 10 minutes worth of time because it would basically cut across with this nice exit and then take you right to Telegraph so I can get back to my kid's house or whatever. Go pick them up or to drop them off or get them to school, whatever. It was convenient. 2 years ago, they put that thing under construction. It's still not done. What are they doing? You would think, oh, is it the whole freeway? No, it's one exit ramp. That's probably, I wouldn't even say a half a mile long. Like, it's not the craziest thing ever. Why has it been on there for 2 years? There's stretches of the freeway that I'm like, this has been under construction for like 3 years. Michigan is like the slowest place ever. And
Texas is terrible about that too. It took them like 5 years to finish construction it out, just to add an overpass. And not even like an overpass going over a railroad.
Yeah.
Or like another road. Well, I mean, it kind of was over.
I remember
another
that
road.
over. I think I know what you're talking. I remember them starting that, and I said, "Oh, that's crazy looking," because I never seen like a overpass being built. Like in Michigan, all the overpasses, I feel like they've already existed. So that was the first one. I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of nuts. They got to build this thing. They're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna go over. We're gonna go over this road."
Yeah.
Like,
Do you know what the whole purpose of that thing is?
I don't know. What was it?
It literally skips like 3 lights, and that's it.
Nice expressway. And they're like, how much did that cost? $20 million.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But every time I complain about it, some goofy ass Texan's like, "No, man, that saves you like 3 lights. Like that's totally worth it. Like plus it adds 3 lanes to the 3 lanes that are already down there. Like so many more people can get through." I'm like, yeah, but that's a lot of money.
What's funny is they added an express lane here, sort of, on my drive to work. Thumbs up. It's just 1 lane, and it's only for maybe a 2-mile stretch, and they have a sign that says express lane, but there's not like exits, or maybe there's like 1 exit in the 2-mile stretch. There's like no purpose in it. And I remember when they were constructing that part, and I was just like, oh, what are they doing here? They basically added 1 lane for a 2-mile stretch that's never high traffic. There's always traffic when I get into Ann Arbor every day, either going to work or coming home from it. There's always this stretch of traffic. It's like well before that, completely unnecessary, just an express lane. I take it simply because it's there. I'm like, well, they made it. Might as well take the express lane. I would think Texas, another thing they do right, a lot of other states do this too. They have carpool lanes. California's famous for the carpool lanes. They're like, okay, well, we want to incentivize people condensing. You know, don't have 3 people drive 3 cars. Why don't you all get in the same car? And if you do, you can drive in the special lane. That's only for people with 2 or more people in the car. I'm like, hey, that's kind of a win-win.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those.
The balloons. That's a win-win. That makes sense to me. That is a good incentive to build out the road,
Didn't
spend
some
money
lady
on it.
get in trouble because she was like, oh,
She had like dummies or
she was
something.
pregnant?
Oh, there was like another one that was like they put dummies in the car. So that way, if you were a driver, you would see like silhouettes of people. So you'd be like, oh, that's a normal carpool, but they weren't real. They were fake. So she could do the carpool lane like a big fat phony. I'd almost give it to the pregnant lady. And even if you're not right, shoot, you're pregnant. Use the express lane. Why not? But the lady with the dummies in it, no, bro, that's not right. You get back in line. Those aren't real people. I'll count your unborn baby. I will not count those test dummies. You know, it's like when you go to Cedar Point, they got the jugs that are like, they barely look like people, but they fill them with water so they can test the roller coasters. That doesn't count. Doesn't count at all. All right, so I wanted to do this section, but Cheyenne said a long time ago, Al, there's a problem with the issue. I already said everything I'm doing right now, I'm doing right here on my old M1 Mac computer. And I already knew from many episodes ago that it cannot do screen capture while streaming and cameras, NDI, Skype, all this stuff. It's just not happening. So apparently every time I bring up the screen, it's just a blank screen and they just hear the audio. There's nothing I can do to fix that. This is a temporary show anyway. And then in a couple weeks here, we're getting them. Their mini boy is going to be here, and I'm going to be so excited. And then we'll hopefully not run into these issues again. But I'm going to just do this section without you guys seeing it, because what do you need to see words for? I'll read it to you. It's time for Am I an Asshole? Am I the asshole? Not me, though. Dr. J, PhD in assholeology. It was so funny on the show the other day. You weren't here, Jason. I said, man, if I say that Jason has a doctoral degree in assholeology, then what the hell does my dad have? It's like, if Jason's already at doctoral level, and I was thinking that was the highest level, I was like, but my dad's so far beyond that, and he was like the Pope. He's like the Pope of assholedom or something like that. I was like, I guess. Damn. I guess. He's like, I'm at the highest level that you could possibly achieve. So we got some articles for the Am I the Asshole? Let's go ahead and pull up the first one. I'll just read it to you people. Just imagine you can see the words because you can't see them physically. All right. First one's coming from DeLeo Deano. I was over my boyfriend's apartment this weekend, and I was cooking dinner because he was studying for exams. I made pasta and a chunky sauce with meatballs and veggies. I told him dinner was ready, and he goes, quote, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?" End quote. With like a lot of emphasis on the last word. I was fed up. I had a really rough day at work, and I had some awfully bad associations with that word being used by other people in my life who are pretty abusive. So I was irritated. I was so irritated that I dropped the pot of pasta sauce that I've been carrying right on the ground, and I was like, well, nothing's for dinner tonight now, and I better not hear you using that word again. It's for the girls. He was freaking out about how the sauce landed on his rug, and he even said, "You're seriously acting like a bitch right now. I don't know what else to call it." I just walked out, and I got takeout for myself and went to my friend's house. She thought it was funny, but my boyfriend was furious. He kept texting and calling and sending me voicemails trying to explain that saying "what's for dinner tonight, bitch" was a TikTok trend, and that he was just quoting something as a joke to put on TikTok. I thought this was the shittiest excuse ever, and it doesn't matter if he saw it as a joke or stole the joke, it was still disrespectful. But it didn't change the fact that he thought that shit was funny, to demean me when I was trying to do him a favor. Like hell, I came over when he was studying to make him a home-cooked dinner, and he decides it's time for jokes. So I put my phone on Do Not Disturb for the night and split a bottle of wine with my friend and her roommate. The next morning, he was sending me angry texts demanding I clean his rug because he was too busy with exams to do it. I was shocked that he left it overnight. That is disgusting. So I texted him back saying, "Yeah, so the bitch tax, honey, that's what it is. Leave me alone till you're ready to handle your own cooking and cleaning because this bitch isn't anymore. Also, it's vile you left that soaking all night." He called me and told me that he was okay with doing his own housework, but I did throw a pot full of sauce at the ground, so that's on me to clean up. I told him, yeah, no, I'm not comfortable doing chores for you if you see me like your bitch. He told me he didn't, and that it was just a trend on TikTok, and I got pissed off that he was playing that TikTok trend BS excuse again. So I told him, well, I'm starting a trend called saucing, where as a little joke, people throw pasta sauce around. You can't be mad because it's just a trend, a little jokey joke, just a prank, bro. He then got really pissed off and hung up on me, and now I'm seriously wondering if this dumb fucking TikTok joke is going to be the end of all things between us. Am I the asshole for how I reacted when my boyfriend asked me, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?" Jason, is she the asshole?
No, I would say she's definitely not the asshole. I mean, if she had some kind of heads up about it, that it was gonna like, oh, we're about to do this funny thing on TikTok.
But then it wouldn't have been raw.
Yeah.
He needed that raw video, like that reaction. And this is the problem with all these reaction videos for people doing stuff as pranksters. It's like, you might get some of these.
Yeah, well, sometimes sometimes.
Now, I wish they would have gave like because there's just an am I the asshole, not the asshole. So obviously the majority voted was not the asshole. But I think she did have an update in here. I just wanted to see if she. Oh, it says it's a locked post. No,
it's her confession. She knew it was a trend.
Oh, they had to shut this one down. It said to the amount of uncivil comments. I don't know how they would get so uncivil about that? It seems like this lady is pretty much in the right. Like, I get it. She wasn't trying to drop the saw. You know, it was, her thing was an accident. His thing was purposeful. So it's like, okay, well, it just seems really shitty on him to dig himself into an even deeper hole by saying, instead of saying, look, I'm sorry about this prank, blah, 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 he was like, well, you better come up and you better come clean this off my rug. Like, I got exams, and this is the thing, like, exams, you got exams, you got to study. You know, studying, it's like a video game. You know, you can pause that. You know, it's not an online game. You can pause the studying for 5 minutes to go clean up your spaghetti mess. Like, obviously, your girlfriend's just not worth it at that point. You know what I mean? It's like, because if his girlfriend was really worth it to him, he'd be like, oh, man, I don't want to break up over some spaghetti sauce. I better clean it. I better say I'm sorry. But he was like, no, I got these exams. I guess so. So it looks like they're finished over the TikTok trend. So if you're out there trying trends, if they're spicy, don't do them. Don't do them. The ladies, they don't like being called bitches. Did you know that, Jason? They don't like that.
Yeah, I would imagine not.
It's pretty universal, I guess. You only got to do it when they're, like, really being a bitch. I mean, like, they got to be really... Then you go, hey, you know you're being a bitch right now. That's the perfect time to do it. Other than that, they don't like it. I'm just going to go to the next one. Ladies, put B in the chat if you like it. All right. I was raised by parents who believed religiously and culturally in rigid gender roles. The dad should work. Mom should just stay home with the kids, raising the household. I'm the only girl, and I have 3 brothers. Because of their expectation I'd stay home with the kids, they never valued my education, my educational achievements, or emphasized anything beyond my domestic skills. I'm also the second youngest. By the time I was in high school, my 2 older brothers had already gone to college, the college of their choice, and my parents fully covered their tuition, their books, and an off-campus apartment with their other living expenses. Eventually, they did the same thing for my younger brother, but I was told that I wasn't even allowed to apply for college. I did so in secret, and I got accepted with a partial scholarship. I didn't tell them I was moving out until a week before I left with essentially nothing but a few friends, what a few friends gave to me that their parents bought for them, but they just gave to me instead. I took engineering, and I had to do a lot of work and take on debt and struggle, and my parents and I have barely spoken for years. I'm married now, and I'm expecting our first child, and they asked to meet up. We met up at a park, and they said they were sorry that they caused me pain and would like a relationship now. I asked them specifically what they were sorry for, and they wouldn't elaborate and just said they wanted to move forward. I said that wasn't sufficient. In the end, I said they could prove that they were sorry by forwarding me the $100,000 that my degree and the college expenses were, just like they did for my brothers. My mom burst into tears, my dad said I wasn't being serious, and I just left. Since then, I've been getting calls from my brothers telling me I'm being immature and hurtful, and I don't think so at all. Am I the asshole for telling my parents to pay me back my college tuition if they want a relationship with me and their grandchild? A little spicier here, a little dicier for this one,
I mean,
Dr.
as much
J.
as yeah, it's a little, I don't know.
Because this is the thing. She took on the debt on the side, right? In secret, moved out, right? I don't know. So there's the argument for the parents. And then there's also another argument for the kid, right? The kid that is not involved in this. That probably would like to know Grammy and Grandpa. You know what I mean? And that kid has nothing to do with this whole situation. But she's kind of keeping that from him. So this one there's a little more on the line. So I'm not sure, Jason. Like, where does this asshole level fall, and who's being the asshole in this situation? He needs a pond. I need to make a. I'd love to make different PNGs for Jason where they're like different look, like pondering, or like angry, or like all the different emotions he could feel.
No,
that I
man,
have to do
I
the
think
things.
it might be biased just because I don't feel like I don't feel like people should. I don't know. Maybe it's a grandkids thing
Yeah.
specifically. Like you don't hide the grandkids. I mean, like you don't necessarily need to be like, oh, I'll come over every Sunday and we'll have dinner. And like, yeah, no, but like you could send the grandkids over there. It's not that hard.
Yeah. But if it was just her and there was no grandkids involved, you would say she's totally she's fine. If she doesn't want a relationship with her parents because they won't pay for her college, even though they paid for her brothers, then that's probably all right. But because there's a grandkid involved, now it's a little different. But also at the same time, it's like they're trying. They're like, bro, we're sorry. But then she's like, well, the only way that you'll prove your sorriness is give me $100,000. It's like, okay, well, that's... On one end, it seems unreasonable, but what she's saying to justify it is that's what they spent on each brother's college plus expenses and whatever. It's like she's just trying to be fair. She's trying to be fair. So, what is the judgment, Jason? Who is the asshole?
I think I have to say her just because of the like grandkids thing. Because if you omit that, then it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine. But like, she didn't omit that. You know what I mean? Like,
no, she had to put that in there. That's tricky. I mean, like, because like you said, with the grandkids,
it really
but at
is.
the same time, it's like she knew exactly what was the situation the whole time, right? So she's like, they told me the whole time. They're like, I don't even want you to go to college. She's like, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to accrue all this debt. And I'm going to do all this stuff. And it's like, but they told you not to do that. But what's funny is then the story is she got married and has a kid, and it's not in the text, but more than likely she's going to end up probably staying at home and raising the kid. So in a roundabout way, the parents are probably thinking, what the hell? This is exactly what we told you. You're just going to end up, if you're going to have a kid, you should have just not had $100,000 in debt and stayed there and had the kid. So, but she wanted to be that strong, independent woman and put the world on her back, regardless of whatever her parents were going to support. So that's where it's a little bit of both. I wish the voting said poo mode, everybody sucks. But would you believe it? Right. They said that she's not the asshole. They voted her not the asshole. And I feel like it's poo mode. I feel like it's everybody. Because I think they're both wrong. I think they're both wrong. I would have now, obviously I don't feel that way. I would have never told my little girl that she couldn't go to college. Maybe let's say I felt that she would have been better off if she's going to have kids and end up staying at home. Why accrue $100,000 in debt and just kind of cut the middle ground? But I would have been like, I would have tried to talk her out of it. But then when she goes, no, Dad, I want to be an engineer. I want to do this because I want to be my own successful person. I'd be like, you know what? That's cool. You know what? That's solid of you.
Or like, I don't.
I'ma still support you.
Kid to grow poor.
I'm going to still support. Like, she wouldn't have had to be estranged for years before I would have been like, I would have supported you. I would have still supported. I would have been like, all right, I told you not to, but you know what? Fine. I'll support you. But then in 6 years, when she quits her job to be a stay-at-home mom, I'd be like, I wouldn't say every day, but all the time I'd bring up, like, remember when I paid $100,000 for nothing because you're sitting at home staying with the kid? Remember that? Like, I feel like I'd bring it up. They would include me into the poo mode. Everyone's an asshole. You are too, because you keep bringing it up. Fantastic. Man, I don't know how. I am not done. Hang on, what time is it? Because my phone hasn't died. I was expecting it to die. Oh my goodness, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm surprised my phone lasted this long because it only had 20%. Let's go ahead and, because my last section was like all these funny little videos, but I can't show them because my computer doesn't work. So I can't even do the after party. I'm just going to hit the after party just so I can do my thing. It's the after party. Whoa. Yeah. All right, so for the after party today, I can't show you the stuff that I had planned because it's not going to work on this computer. But just know, I'm just going to put a teaser trailer out. Just know, not only do I have big things coming for this channel, there's crazy things coming in the future for life, all sorts of, I don't even want to get too spicy. I just want to put it out there that I already said at the beginning of this year, I said, this is the year to go. This is the year to thrive. This is the year to grind. This is the year stuff gets done, accomplishments get made, all sorts of stuff. And the first month has been a giant drag. Like January was like, oh, I had to like claw at every little thing, everything. But then as time's gone on, and I keep accumulating more and keep getting this or this thing's fixed, and now I'm whatever. And it's like I can see this path forward for a lot of great things in the near future, and you people will know more as the future comes and it gets revealed to you. But I just want to let you guys know that if you're not, the 3 people that are here, if you're not subscribed, you better hit that damn button because this channel is about to go off. I have so many videos already in the bank, just need to be edited. Some that are edited that need to be released. Some ideas for videos that I'm going to go do. Some things that are going to happen in my own personal life that are going to increase the production value of this live show itself, all sorts of crazy things. And so I'm just very happy that I get to share these beginning moments. These are the true, I told the kids, they were like, oh, how many subscribers you got? And I'm like, less than 200. They're like, oh, we're like your OG fans. I'm like, yeah, you guys are like the OGs, like all these people that are coming in. So you guys are truly, obviously my dad, Cheyenne, true OGs. I just love that we get to share this moment. I'll look back on these moments very fondly. Getting ready. I always want to do this side. I wish I would have put the handle on this side, but I didn't think about it in the future, or in the past for the future. But I'm glad I get to share these moments of struggle, of frustration, of shit not working, of just scheduling, of the band taking time, too much time to everything. This last year, if I had to make a one-word term for, I don't know if it's not just this channel, my life, clusterfuck. I feel like that would be, like if I was like, what's one word I could kind of sum up 2024 in the beginning, in the end of that, and a little bit of the beginning of 2025? Clusterfuck. But what do they say about diamonds?
Low roller clusterfuck, though.
How do they make the diamonds? Right? They get the coal, the stuff that nobody, coal, it's like, okay, it'll heat your house. It'll make you some barbecue. But what do you do to that coal? You pressurize it. You put it in the grind, and then it makes a diamond. But then the diamond, it just doesn't come out in a ring looking cool. No, now what do? You got to grind the diamond. You got to shave it. You got to you got to polish it. You got to do this stuff. And honestly, that's what I felt like this last whole years of experience, because we started this channel at the beginning of last year. Epic D guy started 2 years ago, but I barely even started that one, so that don't even count. I just say I started in 2024. So we've been a year. This year's been a giant struggle. It's been a giant shit show, a giant clusterfuck for me. But I truly feel like this is the year that we finally start to see the actual results of everything that's been behind the scenes. Like, people don't get like all the nitty gritty. I know I come on and I talk about the nitty gritty, but it's like, it's just all the stuff where I just go, man, if I just had blank, and then I've gotten blank. And then man, the next thing, if I just had this thing, and then I got to this, and I just had this thing. And there's been so many things where I'm like, and there's another piece of the puzzle that's coming very soon that I'm like, man, if I just had this thing, and that is coming soon. And I'm like, oh, that's how I knew. I was like, oh, here it is. Here it is, people. And I don't want to spoil nothing, so you'll just find out later. But all I know is I'm looking very forward to the future. This is exciting times for us. I'm just really hoping that all of you, and I obviously Cheyenne and my father are here, but I'm hoping there's people beyond those two that see it, because honestly, we usually get 20 to 30 people that end up seeing it after the live show. We only get like 5 or 6 people that are in the live show. 20 people see it afterwards, which is really cool. Those people, you just don't understand. My dad calls it a rocket ride. Get on the damn rocket, because we're about to go to space. I mean, not literally, because that'd be sick. But we're going to go to space, so follow the channel now, because it's only going to get sick from here. So I'm going to let Jason go, because he needs to go to bed. I need to go to bed as well. Thank you all for your time. Jason, thank you for joining me this week again. We will see everyone next time. Till next time, good day. I'm sorry, everyone. The show's over, but we thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. We're out of here.
You what?
Good day.